If people really tamed their dumb strength, honed into that control of a pick, I think that they would be 10 times stronger and be able to handle way more weight. I am a type B person forcing myself to live a type A life. If you let me, I just want to sit there and watch TV, man. Like, that's like what I want to do, but I don't let myself because I know that that will lead me nowhere in life.
It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. First question. What's it feel like to have 854 pounds on your back?
Honestly, it's the most extreme focus that I'll ever feel in my life. It brings me into this zone where it's all I can think about, all I can focus on. I don't even hear anybody. I see nobody. I might see that hand of the judge. I probably don't. What it feels like is a godly, insanely invincible feeling. It's the best feeling that I can get out of any drug, out of any experience in life, personally.
Okay, so the reason I ask this is, for me, there's weights that you squat that it becomes like a different world, right? So for me personally, everything up to, it was probably 800.
Yeah.
You know, everything up to 800 pounds was like, oh, whatever, it's heavy. Then it was like, you know, like, what the hell?
Yep.
Right? It felt heavy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then anything higher than that just got worse, to the point where I believe it was Matt Dimble told me straight up, it doesn't matter what you think, it's just heavy. It's heavy and it's going to feel heavy.
Yep.
But it was a different kind of heavy.
Yep.
Right? You're smaller than I am. You're different gender than what I am.
Yeah.
So what was the first weight that first?
Honestly, it probably was when I started doing reverse bands. Then I started to really start testing things. Like, I actually did a reverse band, Monsters 915. That was insane.
Yeah.
That was insane. Like, that pick, first of all, it shocked me how much it just still was attached to my body. When I stood up, I was like, all right, it's mine. Like, here we go. We're going to take this for a ride. You know, like, we're sitting back. And I'm like, all right, like, I'm going to squat this way. Like, I'm going to come up. I think the reverse bands is really when it started to hit me. The straight weight, to be honest, I love it so much. I don't know. It like, actually, it centers me a lot.
So you didn't notice a difference between, like, as you're coming up from 350 to 600?
No, not really. I'm gonna be straight up with you. Yeah. Not really. No, it really truly, like, my first multiply squat in a meet was 700, and I left there feeling like I could have done more. I think the next one was 780, and then again, it was easy. I left there and I was like, I could have done more. I think I just started to learn the technique and was able to handle more. But the weight itself, I felt like I truly could handle, even with my smaller frame. At the time, I was heavier anyway. But like, it was the reverse band. When I started hitting into the nines, the high eights, nines, that's when it really was like, no, I actually really I think my head might pop off. I'm not sure if it's going to be there in the hole.
At what point did you realize that you had to hold the weight longer before you squatted down? At what weight did that start?
That was very quick. That was like right when I got into multiply, switching over from raw into multiply. Then I realized, I was like, oh no, I need to take a second here before I go down, because my pick needed to be flawless. I'm very, very particular about my setup, my feet position. I do like very routine. I say it all in my head. I can write it down in steps. I can visualize every second. And if anything is askew, that pick is not going to be right. That pick has to be solid. It has to stand up with me. I'm not like just like picking up the bar. That bar is like standing with me.
Did it start that way when you started multiply, or?
No, I sucked.
Yeah.
No, I sucked. I would say probably after like my first competition, when I was able to go back into my meet prep and really start analyzing everything that I did wrong, the bar path and the different ways that I could pick it. I had to actually switch over to talon grip too. That ended up helping me a lot. I felt like I could really dig that in, so much so that I have calluses on my pinkies, on the pinky knuckle. But yeah, that was when I felt like my pick needed a lot of help, was after my first competition. My second competition, I hit the 780, and I think I started to nail it in that warm-up room. Like, that same meet, I remember, like, I looked at my handler and my coach, and I was just like, oh no, like, I actually think I understand now. Like, it clicked.
Yeah.
In the warm-up room to my 780 squat.
Well, it's one of the, I mean, you've been around multiply lifters for a while. It's one of the hardest things to get them to understand.
Yeah.
Is everything has to be kind of braced and rooted and settled.
Yeah.
Before you go. but it's fucking heavy. You know, and you want to go,
Yeah.
right? Because it's in there, but those extra couple seconds
Yeah.
can be everything.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially because, again, like I see a lot of people, they'll take a double breath too. I like to take my breath just once, like right before I pick it. Some people will even do like a second breath in. And I think that that's awesome. I just, for some reason, never got into that. But I think that extra second, if people really tamed their dumb strength that they have, and instead of using their brute strength and just honed into that like control of a pick, I think that they would be 10 times stronger and be able to handle way more weight. I think that's a huge factor that a lot of people just aren't realizing. They're picking it, and I still see that bar like this, right? And then they're going down while it's still moving, man.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, that's not pretty.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So looking through, I think it was the Powerlifting Den podcast, you mentioned that your father was a meathead, right?
Yeah, he was.
But it sounds like you didn't really grow up,
Around him.
with him, right?
No,
So it was just exposed to you at a young age.
Yes.
Right. And then, so while you were in your formative years,
Yeah.
grade school through high school,
Yeah.
what athletics were you doing?
I strayed from anything athletic. I wanted nothing to do with running, nothing to do with cardio. I had pretty bad asthma, and I just couldn't breathe when I did anything physical. And I was just fat, to be honest. But when I was in high school, I was a field hockey goalie because all of my other friends wanted to do field hockey, and I wanted to do the position that required the least amount of running. So I chose goalie. But again, I felt like that almost did prepare me, right? Because they put on a bunch of equipment. Right now, I'm big, I'm huge, and I'm using just like two things that I have to be able to kind of just control that mind to muscle and like really eye in on where I have to hit things. I think that did help me a little bit. And then it also just helped me being on a team, just being a team player too, because that was foreign to me. But after that, it was more so in college when I went to St. John's University. A lot of my friends were doing drinking, drugs. It just was never my thing. I got sick every time I drank. So it wasn't fun for me. So I would just be like in the corner in the bathroom throwing up while everybody was having fun. And I was like, this ain't it. So then I started to just wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and go to the track. And I was just doing bear crawls, crunches, sprints, running, bleachers, whatever I wanted to do. And then I started to lose weight. And then I started to join the gym. And then that's when it kind of all started creeping in. But it was college that like hooked me in. Just because I didn't like anything else that was happening in college. I couldn't fit into that. I just couldn't. So then I became a personal trainer at St. John's University, and then it like totally took off. I graduated with my business degree, and I wanted to open a gym. That was my main goal at the age of like 21.
So when you first walked into a gym, I mean, this is kind of weird, right? Because it's exposed to you.
Yeah.
Right. Competitive bodybuilding, powerlifting,
Yeah.
watching your dad tan.
Yeah.
Stupid shit.
Yeah.
Which is, you always wonder what a kid looks, what a kid sees in that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is stupid, or is it good? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I know what I would think about it. And where the strength side's a little bit different, with that, to where a kid can either look at that and see pain and want to avoid it, or look at it and see
inspiring.
inspiring.
Well, yeah, because it was actually, he was in Illinois. He owned something called Pro Gym in Illinois back in the day, and this is before the Lilly Bridges were huge. They were on his powerlifting team. They were all raw, and there was a powerlifting section in his gym, and I would go back there and I would just watch them. It was Ernie, Eric, and Ernie Jr. They were all just training with my dad on this team, and I thought it was sick. And I was just like, why am I not there? Like, why isn't there a girl in there? Like, can I come? Like, can I join? So he should just put me in the corner, and I would do like little deadlifts and things like that. But there was never a piece of me that was scared. I was always enticed to join, just always.
So then when you revisit, it's a college.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, the gym.
Yeah.
Was it the fitness center, or was it like a strength and conditioning? Because most colleges will have a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, it was just like a pretty commercial gym.
Yeah.
Like it had the cardio equipment, it had the lifting, but I used to work out so early that before it would even open, I'd be like waiting for the doors to come, and the ROTC was training there. They actually ended up asking me to start joining their workouts with them. I was talking to like one of their captains or whatever that was called. And he was really cool. He would rope me into a lot of their exercises. I don't know what made him want me to join. I think I was just like the only person there as early as they were. I actually wanted to join the ROTC in high school, but my mom was not too thrilled about that idea. I think I was always searching for structure, community, just like a goal. I've always just been extremely goal focused. If I don't have one, I feel very lost. So I think I was just searching for something to just like control me a little bit. Otherwise, I'm just like a free bird and I do nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that the gym called me to that.
Why business?
I initially was a biology degree. I switched over to business when I fell in love with fitness because I wanted to open a gym and I wanted to know how. My initial goal was to become a veterinarian.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. But so I was a biology degree up until I think my sophomore or junior year. Then I switched over to business when I fell in love with fitness. And I was like, I love animals and all, but man, fitness is cool. I was like, I want to own a gym. I want to like inspire people and bring them up with me.
So when did powerlifting come into the fold?
That is from Instagram. So I had posted a 345. I walked out, wrapped myself, squat at the edge, and Hellbent Barbell, which was Jenna and Mike Skiba at the time. They reached out to me via Instagram, and they were like, I think they were just trying to like get some new members.
Well, hold up, back 345, right?
Yeah.
So why are you squatting 345 before powerlifting?
I loved it. I loved the heavy weight. There was never a time where I was like, all right, 225 is enough, 300 enough, 400 is enough. I just was always like, what else? What else? What else?
Yeah, but you're not going to walk into, a
know.
university fitness center and see.
I think I grew up with it. I think it was just like normal for me. I was like, why is no one else doing it? Like, maybe they're just too weak. Like, I just thought that they're not doing it because they can't do it. Like I was training by myself. I had no one telling me what to do, how to do it. I was wrapping myself, like doing everything myself. I truly don't know where it came from, but it was a calling inside of me for a very long time.
All right. So then they see this and then reach out.
They see this and they're like, you have to join our new powerlifting gym. It just opened up. We were looking for a female powerlifting team. Are you interested? And at the time I was ripped. Like I was like a bodybuilder style. And I thought powerlifters were fat as shit. I was like, I don't want to be fat. I was like, no, man, I'm good. But then I was like, I'll give it a shot. Like, it's cool. I would love to see the atmosphere. Remind me of my dad, like the gym. Let's just see what it's about. I walked in there and just like I thought, man, like these are just these big burly guys, not a lot of like muscle tone to them, but size, right? And then I go in the bathroom and the bathroom is lined with beer cans. There's a whole entire Dunkin' Donuts like layout there. And I'm like, what am I doing here? I was like, I think I belong here. I think we were benching or deadlifting for the first time and they're just screaming at me. And I haven't had that atmosphere since my dad's gym. And I was just like, this is awesome. I could like get pushed here. And I was looking at the guys and I was like, I can keep up with these guys. Like I could bench what they bench. I could squat what they squat. Let's go. I was in on day one. I before I walked out, I said, sign me up. I'm in. And there was just no looking back.
So how did your training change at that point?
At that point, I was doing a lot of just bodybuilding stuff, but still pushing like my main movements. Again, nobody told me to do that. I just was. And then I started to do the 5-3-1, and then I got into the Swede. Swede was my coach for a minute there. And then one of the members, Kurt, at the time, he took me under his wing for free, and he was just kind of training me around until I got with Laura Phelps. And then Laura Phelps like skyrocketed me.
So how did that work with these different
coaches?
And then you're in a gym that has a culture and an environment.
Yeah.
So there's a team dynamic, right?
There is.
And sometimes when the programs aren't going to line up.
Yeah. Yep.
So you have to make.
It's really struggle.
Well, it's weird because you're going to have to make it line up, but you're the new person.
Yeah, I was the underdog for sure. Because when I first came in, again, the gym was very new. So we only had like 10 lifters at the gym. So the hierarchy was quite like, it was there, but quite small. I can catch up. And I was definitely the strongest girl there. So I already kind of like jumped the ladder a little bit there. But now when I first started, we just were all on 5-3-1. Like it was kind of just like what they were doing there. And then Swede hosted a seminar there that we kind of all hopped onto his. So for a while we did follow each other. There was a point where there was about 4 or 5 very strong girls on our team. And 2 of them became multiply and the rest of us stayed raw. That started a little bit of a divide there because then they started to train with the boys. They did their own thing. And then at that point, I think that's when Kurt kind of took me under his wing and I kind of just did my own thing. I actually separated from all the girls at that point. And I was just with Kurt and doing my own thing. I would jump in with some of the guys just to have some fun every once in a while, but I was really on my own regimen.
Now, when you went there, were all the guys multiply?
I would say a solid cut in half, but very quickly, all of them went into multiply. I think as of right now, I think we have like 3 raw guys.
Okay.
Yeah. And only like 1 or 2 of them are pretty impressive.
So what was it like when there's that division of half raw, half multiply?
Honestly, we all supported each other pretty equally. I'll be honest with you. The community at my gym has been extremely impressive. I would say that like whenever somebody goes to like for instance, every Sunday we do heavy squats, right? We have about 3 monos. One mono, like if there's like a raw day, then those guys are on that mono, and then we have like the medium guys who can squat or girls who could squat medium, and then we got like the heavy done, just like flights would be, right?
Mhm.
And then like one would go, everybody would stop what they're doing, help that crew. The other one would go. It's a solid unit, and then it's just a circle, and then we have like lists of who's up next, and then we move like a flight almost every single Sunday.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool.
So how long did it take for the training days to align with everybody that was there?
I don't remember a time where there really wasn't much unison. Everyone stepped in line pretty quickly, and if you were supposed to train something new, but all the monos were taken, too bad. You're popping in with us, or you're popping in with the weakest crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is what it is. Otherwise, you got to come on a different day and train, but nobody's going to be here.
Well, it's an indirect way to be able to funnel in like Sunday squat day.
Yeah.
You know, this is bench day, whatever
Correct.
it's going to be, which people can still be doing different programs, but it only allows so many degrees of freedoms on whatever that program's going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Like we can remove chains, we remove bands, but we're not switching out the bar for you.
Well, you're not switching days.
Yeah, we're not switching days either.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that can get weird if somebody's squatting 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Or they want to squat heavy twice a week. And,
Yeah.
you know, so have you guys run into those issues? Because it can kind of be a pain in the ass because if it's bench day, you got to deal with.
Yeah, we have. And sometimes what we'll do, especially meet prep takes precedence. So if you guys are in meet prep, we have to do what they're doing. Like there is just no way around it. But if everybody's just, like not in meet prep and in the off season, again, we usually leave it up to the strongest person. Whoever's the strongest person, he kind of gets the reign. Like what is he doing today? And we're all following suit. The people who are like, hey, can I come on a Wednesday night and squat? Yeah, some of us are going to be here, but you got to reach out like at that point. And I would say most of my members, if they have the time, they'll come and they'll be there for you just to spot, just to run the mono. But it's hard, especially if you're in meet prep and you're like, hey man, like, can I come on a Tuesday? Like I'm working on Wednesday. Can you be there? Some people we just can't, right? Like there's real life outside of powerlifting. So you just can't make it. But I would say most people in my gym, like 90% of the people in my gym come on the days that we're supposed to come and they make it work. And if they can't, then they drop the ball on it.
And how do those line up?
Like how does it break down?
The days.
Yeah, so Sunday mornings heavy squats. Sometimes you'll do a secondary pull afterwards. On Wednesday nights are usually dynamic squats. Friday nights are heavy bench. Your dynamic bench is kind of thrown in between there, wherever you kind of want it. But our busiest days are Sunday mornings, Wednesday nights, Friday nights. That Wednesday night has kind of been slowly going into Tuesdays too. I'm starting to see some people kind of switch over to Tuesday evenings. But everyone follows suit.
What was Friday night again?
Bench.
Okay, so the heavy bench.
Heavy bench.
All right, so the way I'm seeing this is you have the most important days at times that it's impossible for work to be able to screw up.
Correct. So, those are the important days. Yep.
Yes.
Friday nights, unless you want to go partying with your friends, fine, so be it. But otherwise, you're here to bench. Sunday mornings, I don't care what you did Saturday night, but you're here on Sunday morning.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's no reason that you can't be there. Even on holidays, like Easter Sunday, I had people at the gym. Thanksgiving mornings, like people come on holiday mornings too, because again, what are you doing at 7 a.m., man? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And some of these people, they're married, they have kids and all, but usually they come.
Well, when the days are when I first started allowing people to come out here to train, that was kind of one of the caveats that we had to figure out as this small little group is, I don't want to deal with this shit on like a Wednesday night and all this other stuff. So what are going to be the main days, and it was Saturday, Sunday, which creates an issue, because if Saturday squat day, Sunday's heavy bench day, that's hard you can do it, but it's hard to get accustomed to.
Yeah.
Because the one right after the other can be brutal.
Oh, yeah.
But it also means that Friday has to be off, Monday has to be off because you're going to be racked, and then you got to figure out where those other days go and then what priority they're going to be able to set. Otherwise, the compliance drops.
Yep.
Where when I was in Westside, the compliance wasn't an issue because we just all built our life around
powerlifting.
Everything was second, where we kind of realized this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Right? If it does, it's going to be too few people.
Yep.
And I don't know how long it can be sustained.
Yep.
With that. So it kind of seems like y'all did the same thing.
We did. We really did. And it's honestly quite impressive because everybody has different types of lifestyles and jobs. They all different types of walks of life, right? And some people are married with kids. And like you said, I would say the majority of my lifters, because most of them are pretty serious competitors, majority of them bend their life around powerlifting. And that's kind of why I've retired this past year, because I just can't keep doing it anymore. But prior to that, I really did. It was my number one responsibility every single day. I was studying, I was going to work, I was doing everything I was supposed to do, but powerlifting was forefront of my brain because I had these goals and there's no way of reaching it if I missed my squat and I don't have my 5 spotters there to help me. I need them there. It was a top priority for me always, and for most of my lifters.
Well, I want you to elaborate on that because, right, there's it's obvious you have that laser focus and it was the top priority. And we've seen a lot of other people that have that same top priority in strength sports, and they'll operate from this mindset of no B plan.
Yeah, correct.
But meanwhile, you're getting a degree, you're getting a master's degree, you got a doctorate, you're working and you're doing all these other things with it still being the first priority, which kind of takes away the whole excuse of no B plan.
Correct.
But time management is going to be a big issue. And so how did you navigate that? Because for my degree, it's like I wouldn't take a course if it was going to impede with whatever the training time was, which created a problem because now I got to wait a whole 2 other semesters for that course to be when it was supposed to be. So how did you keep all this together?
Honestly, man, I look back and I impressed myself. This was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, was balancing everything. Because not only I was working in the emergency department during the pandemic in a trauma facility as an emergency room nurse for 12-hour shifts, sometimes 16-hour shifts. And I was doing that for 3 times a week. I was studying part-time for my doctorate. So I usually had like 2 to 3 classes a week, maybe 4, but a lot of studying. The outside of it is what was insane. And then my training, I was in the gym for 4 hours, about 3 to 4 times a week. So how did I do that? You should have seen my schedule. I'm talking from 4 a.m. until 9:30 p.m. I had every hour mapped out and I had no leeway. And I came to a point where I think I became so successful because of how short of time I had. When you have extra time, you can be a little laissez-faire. I can sleep in. I don't want to wake up. My alarm went off and I'm like, I don't have a damn minute. I got to get up because otherwise I'm going to fail the rest of my day. And all of my stuff was packed. And I tell a lot of people this, I'm extremely type B. I am a type B person forcing myself to live a type A life. If you just let me, which is why I think I look for structure. If you let me, I'm messy. I don't clean up after myself. I'm like, I just want to sit there, smoke some weed and watch TV, man. That's what I want to do. And if you let me, I will, but I don't let myself because I know that will lead me nowhere in life.
I've been training for over 4 decades now, and keeping track of all my training metrics has always been a big part of that. It wasn't until later on that I realized that keeping track of your internal metrics are just as important, if not more important, the longer you're in this game. Most primary care physicians, if you go in for any type of issue, they'll look for what's off, but they're not necessarily looking for how to optimize where your labs are for where you want to go. That's where Merrick Health comes in. Merrick Health does advanced blood work with medical providers around the world and a health coach who helps build a plan around your goals. I worked with Merrick to build a custom lab panel for this show. They have guided optimizations that can help you set you up with a health coach to be able to work through what your goals are, from the prescriptions to supplements, just the whole deal. Don't have to do that. You can just do the lab panels. They have options. You can find this at merrickhealth.com/table talk for 10% off your first order. One of the best decisions that I ever made was to partner with Merrick. So I highly suggest you head over to merrickhealth.com/table talk and get started today.
I'm super, super organized. I have 4 notebooks, even just currently. I have one for my business. I have one for my home life. I have one for my social life. I have one for my job. I have one for my health, actually, one too. So I have a multiple of different avenues that I use to hyper focus myself in and keep myself in line. But the biggest one, like you said, was prioritization and time management. My time management was insane. I will have to say the emergency department probably taught me a little bit of that too. I had to do time management in the emergency department. I would have seconds to respond to something that was life or death. And so I think that that kind of embedded it in me. And I was an emergency room nurse at that point for about 4 to 5 years. So I had a lot of experience of dealing with those short time periods. But I mean, I lost sleep, man. I got fat as hell. My health was completely declined. I didn't do anything for myself personally, like my hair, my face. I had horrible acne. I didn't care about my appearance at all because I physically couldn't. My relationship status was horrible. My friends like never saw me. So like my real day-to-day life sucked. My energy level sucked. I felt like my soul was pulled from me every day. But again, it led to zero excuses because I just couldn't. It was either I did it or I failed, and I'm not failing. So it's like, just like I had to. Very similar to my mindset of when I walk onto, which they call me a performance lifter because I do better in front of people, and I think it's because I'm performance based. And if somebody's watching me and I'm squatting, I'm coming up. Like I don't care how hard it is, I will continue to grind until I come up. But that's just like the way that my brain works and how I kind of hyper focus into things.
So it sounds like you had 5 buckets you're trying to balance,
Yeah.
right? So social life, the studying, the work, the training, and I forgot what the 5th one was.
Maybe.
The health, right? So out of those 5 buckets, you can't carry 5 buckets, so you drop 2.
I did.
Right? So now that a couple of those are gone, and it's just, where I'm going here is I think there's a lesson to be learned here, is that there's only so many buckets you can carry.
Yeah.
Right? And you got to be okay with letting a couple of them drop.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not going to be able to sustain
all
of them.
Yeah.
And I think some people try to carry too many, or they have too little water in all of them, so they suck at everything.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And I remember I told my family and my friends that too. I was like, these next few years, guys, you may not see me. I love you. I'm gonna miss you. I was like, but I'm gonna come back on top. I promise you. But this is gonna be rough for me, and I'm probably just not gonna see you much. And that was hard because my family was like, well, like, are you gonna come on this? And I was working holidays too. Like I was missing out on holidays. I was missing out on everything. But luckily, the gym, they gave me enough of a social life. My gym was like my community, and I think I sunk my teeth into it hardcore because those days where I was there with them, it felt like my family. It felt like I had that support system that I was like really deeply yearning for because I lacked it outside of my real life. So I think that actually did help me a little bit. Like if I came in here and I had my head down, headphones in, and I was just doing it by myself, I don't know if I would have survived. I think that having those people there and like looking at me and saying like, how did you do it, Joe? Like you just worked 16 hours like last night. I slept at the gym numerous of times. There was nights where I literally put my head on a foam roll and I was like, I'm just gonna like crash out because my hospital was right next to my gym. So like sometimes I would come out of a shift. I'm like, I just need like 2 hours. I'm not gonna go all the way back home and come back. I'll just sleep at the gym for like 2 hours. I'm like, all right, let's do some accessories, man. Like let's go for it, But again, I had no time to give, so there was no laxing for me.
Well, you kind of answered what the next question was going to be, is how did you auto-regulate during those times when the work was insane?
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I kind of sucked it up and kept going. I did a lot of fast food. I wasn't hydrated enough. I'm lucky I didn't get hurt during that time, to be honest, because my recovery was probably trash. And I'm lucky I've never had a serious injury. And that's why like when I like quote unquote retired, I was happily too, because I'm like, what, I did enough. My back is okay. My knees are okay. I've never had any injury. I can still get my health in line. My A1C is controlled. Like I could do this. I just felt like if I continued, it really wasn't going to go down a healthy path for me whatsoever. And just mentally, I needed more just personal time. I like to journal. I like to visualize. I'm big on visualizing, on manifesting. All the goals that I had in powerlifting, I had them written on my windshield in my car, on my refrigerator, on the back of my phone, like 4 places in the gym. Everywhere that I was all the time, which was usually driving or looking at the damn fridge, on my phone, I see it. On a day-to-day basis, I was constantly reminded, like, this is your goal, this is what you want. So every single time that I would feel like my mentality would shift to, I don't feel like it today, I would just look right back and I'm like, all right, well, then it doesn't matter, right?
So all these things followed the typical timeline that you would see after you graduated high school, right? So there's no
Yeah.
breaks or anything like that.
Well, so I went to high school. I got my first degree at St. John's for 4 years. I graduated, and at that time, I had my business degree. I didn't have any degree for nursing. And I was actually dog grooming. I'm making like $300 an hour. I was working as a physical therapist aide because I thought I could do physical therapy since it was very
Hmm.
close to fitness. And I applied that year for my doctorate in physical therapy. I got denied twice. So then I went back to like Housatonic, which is like community college, and just paid out of pocket to get some of the grades a little bit better. And then I reapplied for my doctorate for PT. And then I also just threw in nursing too, just to let's just see what sticks. Got denied again from PT, and I got into the nursing degree, and it was a second degree program, 15 months accelerated. So that was very quick. So I had like a year and a half there where I was just kind of fixing my
Hmm.
grades. And then I did 15 months, which was an accelerated program, extremely intense, of just to get my RN as a bachelor's. Then right after that, I took a year or two, and I was working in the emergency department and went right into my doctorate. So in total, I was in school for about 9 years,
Okay.
which is
But this is
exhausting.
still, if I'm calculating this right in my head, because we're going to talk about recovery and stuff like that later in the podcast, you're still like
Young,
mid 20s,
bounce back.
so you can do it.
Yeah,
Like you can do it.
yeah,
Like it's that same schedule, 38 years old.
yeah. Nope.
Yeah, not so
Good luck.
much, right?
Yeah,
So there
no.
is, because that becomes an interesting conversation. We get into the recovery modalities and all these other things,
Hmm.
is when they come into play, how they should come into play, and if they even should at all,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
that's a big question that we'll discuss later, especially during periods like that where it could have helped, but if you put in a lot of those different things, where in the fuck are you going to put it in?
Exactly.
Like, where are you going to
Seriously,
sit
when
for an hour?
exactly. I was already training for 4 hours. I was studying for this hours. I was like, maybe while I'm studying, I mean, sometimes I was foam rolling and I was like reading my book.
Yeah.
But when I study, like I need to take notes. I need to be like all in when I study because it doesn't come easily to me. I
Hmm.
have to try really hard. So it's like it's not just something that I can be like, oh yeah, I get it, cool. Like no, I have to like sit down and like get into it to understand. So I think like that also kind of sucked because I know that there was a lot of my classmates who lived at home, right? Like I owned my own house. I had 3 animals to take care of. Like there are these kids who, lived at home with their mom and they were telling me how hard it was for them. And I'm like, really, man, that sucks.
Hmm.
Like I was like, I haven't done my dishes in like 2 weeks. I don't know where
Yeah.
my spoons are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, so it was not easy. It was not easy. But you're right, having that young age on my side, and I had no kids and no marriage, right? Like I didn't have other than my 3 animals at home, I didn't have children. That's a huge, huge, huge factor. I didn't have anyone else that was looking for me, right? So I could be gone till 2 a.m. Studying or 2 a.m. at the gym, and nobody's home looking for me, wondering where I am.
So with the powerlifting being that top priority, but then it would have been nursing at that time, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So the nursing, where did you see your future in the nursing side?
Honestly, I had no idea. I really didn't have much of a goal, like an end zone. Otherwise, other than getting my doctorate, I knew that I just wanted a terminal degree because I wouldn't just stop at my master's. I would want something else because it's just I need to hit that. So I knew that I needed to go for a terminal degree. So I was like, okay, I'll just get my doctorate. And then at that point, I'll figure out what to do. But I truly didn't have many plans with it. I just wanted a doctorate. I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I knew it wasn't the emergency department. I knew for damn sure I couldn't survive there any longer. My soul was getting ripped from me. I'm a pretty like optimistic, happy-go-lucky person in general. I would drive home in pure silence. And like I would sit in my driveway for like 15 minutes before I couldn't even go in the house because I had nothing left to give. I had nothing left to give. I knew I couldn't stay there long term. So I knew it was an emergency department. I thought maybe urgent care ortho. Like I thought like, again, something to do with physicality and something to do with athletes. So I thought I could do an orthopedic walk-in, things like that. But I was just playing around with ideas until I got my degree. I couldn't focus on anything else other than getting the task done. I was just
Mhm.
task oriented
Well, then
at that
after you get
time.
the degree, what did you want to do?
Yeah, so this was cool. So after I got my degree, I needed a break, man. So I graduated, I passed my boards, and I was like, peace. I went to Hawaii for about 3 weeks. It was awesome. I left, and I was thinking about moving there actually because I was like, I needed to get out. That's how exhausted I was. So I took a break there, and then I took a really easy job, and I told my mom, I was like, don't worry, mom, I'm going to get a real job after this, but I just need something to just breathe. So I did laser hair removal for about a year. It had no brain cells required for it. I was just like,
Mhm.
zzz, 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 zzz. And so after that, But again, I started stirring. Like within 6 months, I was like, all right, what am I going to do here, right? I started to talk to one of the guys at my gym. I was just shooting the shit with him, telling him, I was like, I got to get another job. And he was like, he's like, there's this job called BioRestore. He's like, remember I told you about it a while ago? I was like, yeah, you said something about it. It has something to do with peptides or something, right? And he was like, yeah, he's like, I can get you like a job interview. And I was like, sure, what the hell? Like, what the hell? And I got a job interview there, and it was everything I could have ever imagined. It was hormones, it was peptides, stem cell therapy. He even looked me in the face. He's like, if you want to go just pure athletes and just like work your way with that, he's like, I'll work with like your strong suits too. It's a small company, if they're taking on a new provider, they can kind of bend things around. And so I was like, I was all ears. I was like, he showed me that he valued my opinion. He valued who I was. He was willing to listen to different ideas. Nothing like the emergency department. They didn't give a crap about you. They didn't care about anything. He wanted to know. He even told me, he's like, tell me the days of the weeks you want to work. And like, it'll make it work. So at that point, I was like, oh my God, I could tell him what days I want to work. I'm going to work this around the gym, right? Like we don't do anything on Saturday. So I said, I'll pick up a Saturday. I'll open an extra day a week. I'll make you more money an extra day a week because I don't care about my Saturdays. And he loved that. So I worked all day Saturdays, and I told him I want Wednesdays off. I was like, because Wednesdays are a big night. And then we already had Sundays off. And I was debating between the Friday night or not, but I thought I can get to the gym after Friday night for work afterwards. So I didn't think I needed it off. So I manipulated my schedule all around my lifting, and it was just ideal. And so that's kind of how that started. I just got thrown into it. It was just from talking. And I think the more people you know, the better off you are in life in a lot of different aspects, especially when everybody has different fortes and different strengths and things that they can kind of pass on to you.
Did you need your degree for that?
I needed to be a nurse practitioner. So I needed at least a master's, but I had a doctorate.
Okay. Because that can become the other weird thing is
Yeah.
what you end up doing after all the schooling.
Yeah,
Has
right.
nothing to do with
no.
what it was.
No, because I could prescribe. I could do everything a doctor can do. So it's basically the same thing. I treat, I diagnose, and I prescribe. In the state of Connecticut, technically, I have to be under a doctor, like a collaborating physician, for at least 3 years before I'm considered independent. However, I work with just other nurse practitioners, a PA, and there's like an overseeing collaborating physician who kind of like signs off on things. But I could do anything that they can do. So it's pretty exciting and very empowering too.
So before we get too deep into that, going back into the training and the way you guys lay the training all out, because you said it was 5-3-1, then it was Swede, and then I assume you guys have come up with your own hybrid.
Yeah. So Mike Skiba, he does like the confident conjugate.
Yeah.
And like, but I'm still on Laura Phelps. So that was pretty tough because at that point, like he at that time he was the owner and he coached a lot of the people there. So it kind of was just like what he says goes. Like there's no such thing as me arguing. I don't care how strong I am. And so but of course he always respected me during meet preps and things like that. But there was only about 3 people on Laura Phelps' program and the rest was on his. So that was pretty tough. So at that point I did start saying, I was like, all right, so maybe I have to switch up my days, right? Like I got to bend around what they can do. And I remember there were some days that I would squat my heavy days on bench nights because at least they were there for spots, but there were monos open, right? So I kind of had to manipulate my schedule a little bit. I was like, okay, then I could just bench on Sunday mornings and vice versa, right? I mean, that way I can still do what I need to do, but I still have my crew. So it's just kind of going based off of that and bending when you can, because you have to. Or otherwise I would talk to Laura about it and I'm like, hey, like I might have to just jump in on their circa. Like that just might have to happen because I can't do it this week or something. So I was a lot of communicating with my coach, a lot of communicating with Mike, and just making sure that everybody was safe and had enough spotters.
So as you're progressing through, what were things that you found most beneficial in, let's just say off season, so not meet prep?
Yeah. What was beneficial for off season was your raw strength, man. Like go back down to your raw strength. Every time I competed, I would take probably about 3 to 4 months and I would train raw, heavy. My goal was to gain mass. Like that was just it. And that's my favorite thing to do. I was like, you just let a stallion out of like, like I was like, I am ready. Let's go. So those 4 months were my most fun. Like I felt like I didn't have that pressure of like, I need to hit this number today. I need to hit this. Otherwise I'm going to be really upset with myself. Like I went in and I was just like, let's get a sick pump. I want to get as heavy as I possibly can today. I started pulling in things that I usually suck at, like pull-ups. I sucked at anything back. I'm very weak on my back and my deadlift, my grip, which is deadlift. So I honed in on a lot of my weaknesses. So like I would sit very, very honestly in front of a mirror and be like, all right, where am I weakest dog shit? And I have to hammer that, hammer. I hammered a lot of triceps. I hammered a lot of back during my off seasons. That's
So what'd you do with
usually
the
what I
main
did.
lifts during that time?
I still kind of kept them under wraps. Like we still would, I would still do them. But a lot of that time it was more, like GPP stuff. So doing a lot of like high volume, work with like less rests periods. Cause we do an insane amount of rest periods, to be honest. I mean, we're lifting a lot of weights, but still, it's
Yeah.
just, we could tighten that up a little bit. So our GPP needed a lot of work. Sometimes I would actually pull back from the main lifts and really just do my accessories. Because I'm pretty technical. As long as I felt technically sound at my last meet and it wasn't a technical issue, I kind of was like, it's just a weakness at this point. So I would do a lot of like sled drags, get my GPP up, shorten up my rest periods, and do a lot of accessories. I'm talking like hours of accessories. You'd have to rip me from it. Sometimes you do.
Yeah. So then that's for, so let's say 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then do you have a transitional phase before you get into the competitive phase, or is it straight into the competitive
No, I would do
phase?
at least another wave, like a 3 to 4 week of like getting back into the gear, and then I'd go into a meet prep.
So what is that 3-week transition phase?
That's usually so. Like Laura, what she normally has us doing is she'll have us like go into like a 55%, and then a 60%, and then a 65%, or somewhere around those ranges of some type of a variation. I'd go back to an old max and kind of hit that, break it, and then go up from there. Usually just a lot of just week by week addition into the weights or adding AR, depending on what exactly
What
the
about the
variation
gear
was.
during that time?
I'm back in the gear. So I go,
Full?
usually it's just briefs. I usually don't do a full suit often, usually just during a competition or meet prep, during meet prep. Sometimes she'll throw one in there randomly, but I prefer to just to train in my briefs. That suit is just like the extra, I'm just like, oh, I could add like an extra
Yeah.
5,800 pounds on this thing. Let's go. It's like,
Yeah.
but it's not something that bothered me except until I got into Titan gear.
I want to take a second to throw a quick shout out to my friends over at Mastonomics. They have some of the greatest t-shirts. Their memes are incredible. Their YouTube gym tours are great. These drink spotter things, I got about 7 of them out here. Snap them on power racks, put smelling salts in it, drinks. I think they hold up to 10 pounds, or they have different sizes of these. These are great. They made coasters out of stall mats, which is amazing. But what I really wanted to let you know is to go check out gymradar.com. They launched a website that's going to help people find home gyms that they can train at, and to be able to put your own home gym on there and not only be able to find where it is, but see what they actually have. And it's also great for product reviews because people are putting the products that they have in this Gym Radar. Just go check it out. It's great. So it's www.gymradar.com. And also check out Mastonomics. Check out their website, check out their Instagram. The memes are great. And check out their YouTube.
When I got into Titan gear, that last competition, that was really hard for me, because usually I was used to the LUP where I can just like open it up and tighten it. When I got into that Titan suit, the boss, oh my gosh, like it was your third attempt tightness on a warm up. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was getting in there, I couldn't feel my legs. I was like squatting like, there was zero movement. I was not used to that. I really didn't like that. It took a lot of breaking in, took a lot of mental, you would get like jittery, like get me out of this. Like it's so tight all the time. But so that took a lot of, I needed to be in the suit more often at that point.
Yeah.
But with my LUP, that was fine.
Why the change?
Why did I go into Titan? I got sponsored by Titan, so I just went with that. And then I saw like I saw a few people squatting in some of the Titan briefs, and like their numbers just were impressive. And I was like, is it you or is it the briefs? Like, because I feel like I've seen you weaker than this. So then I was just a little bit. I just wanted to taste. And then when I got in the briefs, I was like, oh, this is money. Like, this is crazy. So I really liked their briefs. I really liked their suit. It just took patience. It took a lot of patience. I really don't know if a lot of people can handle the I don't know, the grit and the patience that it required, to be honest. Straight up. Even the katana shirt is insane.
No, that's interesting because when I had sponsored athletes through, and it was metal at the time, and I mean that was part of the sponsorship is they had to wear that gear.
Yeah.
And the there's pros and cons,
Oh yeah.
right? Because maybe there's another piece of gear from a different company that's going to be able to work better. But from the overall perspective, it always worked better because it forced them to learn one thing without all these other options,
Correct.
right? You can tailor the shit out of anything.
Yeah.
Like I was telling them, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I
Yeah.
don't give a shit if you put
Corset
panels in it,
Yeah.
you change the material. I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
But you got to use that same thing. So now they're altering that same thing instead of having that, oh shit, so, somebody said this is better, then they jump there, then they waste a whole year
I know.
fucking around with
Insane.
gear
I know.
instead of
Instead
just
of learning that one thing.
yeah,
I
just
know.
dial in the one thing. I think it's the best thing that can happen to a lifter
Yes.
if they have somebody that knows, how to help them dial that in,
Correct.
take it in, take it out, whatever it's going to be,
Mhm.
and they'll do better because
Yeah.
they're meatheads.
I know.
Like,
know.
they all know,
Nobody
like,
wants to wait for it. They're all just like, I could get stronger. He's stronger in this. Let me wear this. Like, let me
Yeah.
tighten this here. Let me like, no, it took like sit down. I'm talking like studying. I would watch my videos, and a lot of people ask me that too. Like, oh, like who did you watch that inspired you and things like that. And I'm not gonna lie, Amber Hansen, I stalked that bitch. I really did. I watched her accessories. I was looking like what she was pulling. Like I couldn't follow her pulls at all, but I wanted to look at her accessories, and if I can at least match her strength in the accessories, then they'll carry over somehow. But otherwise, I really wasn't watching many people other than my own lifts. As selfish as that sounds, I really didn't give a shit what everybody else was doing. I wanted to know what was I doing wrong because that's all that mattered. So I would watch. I would put it up on my TV at home. I would zoom in on my ankles. I would zoom in on my wrists. I would zoom in on my head position, the bar position, my hips, my knees, every single part of me, and I would watch that thing for hours, just like football player watches their tapes. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And I would just watch it. And I'm like, okay, next time I'm just gonna keep my legs open at that one last second right there. Like I would hone in on everything. And the same thing, like even just my videos on my phone, like I would do it in bed, right? But right before bed, right when I wake up, that's the first thing I'm doing, analyzing my last few lifts. How could I have made it better? And I think that people don't realize that like you put on this equipment and you own that equipment, right? Like you're using that equipment to help you. It is not controlling you, right? Like you're supposed to take it and use it to your advantage, not just be like, oh, it's kicking me forward. Oh, it's too tight. I can't sit back. Make it. Like, what the hell? Like this is just material, man. Break it in. Like let's do this. But I think a lot of people just don't have that patience, or even maybe just lacking the knowledge of like how exactly to do it. For instance, the katana shirt, a lot of people, when I told them that I was going into katana shirt, were like, good luck. That's a really tough one to think. And I remember telling my mentor, I looked at him and I was just like, the more and more people tell me that, the more and more I want to nail this. Because I'm like, because that just means that you guys just haven't learned it. Like, what are we missing here? Is the bar path a little bit different? Is the touching point a little bit different? Like, what's happening here? So that was really fun to like really test myself and break things in. But it was extremely challenging. But I like the challenge. So it's just tough. Like if people don't like the challenge, then they're probably not going to do it.
So if we stick on the squat and you're looking at those videos, what exactly are you looking at? So what would be perfect from the time you approach the bar to complete?
Oh, I love this. Okay. So from the time if I were to approach the bar, like I need to make sure that, are my eyes like looking everywhere? Like there's some people that I walk up and these guys, they're like looking left and right. What are you looking at, man? What are you looking at? Like I should be like, it should look like there's nobody else around me. I'm about to attack this thing. Like I'm looking for my own focus at that point. The next thing I usually do is set my hands first to the talon grip. I set my chest to make sure that it's center. And I'm actually like pretty anal about my bar position and where things are. Like I want to make sure that it's evenly spaced. If there's bands, if there's chains, I'm pretty crazy. So I do that prior before walking out to the bar. I usually set my hands, set my chest, I get under, and then I'm setting my feet. I'm looking at my, like the ankle part of my foot, making sure that it's aligned with the bar. And then I'm screwing in my feet really tight. And then now this is like when I'm fully focused. And at this point, I am lat pulling that thing into my back. Like this is now attached to me. This thing ain't going anywhere that I'm not going. So now it's attached to me at this point. I fill my brace. I break my belt right from the sides, from the front to the back. I want to make myself as big as humanly possible. I do a little bit of like a sternum down, really get that core involved. And then now the last thing that I do and that people really don't do is that neutral spine. I make myself have a double chin. And right there, I am so centered. That weight is right over my extreme core. I have everything under control. And all it is a glute stand up at that point. That bar should be so pretty.
When does the air come in?
Right before.
Mm-hmm.
And I go just like that.
So before or after the sternum?
if right before, then I do the
Yeah.
sternum and I do the head, and then I pick up. The head is the last thing I do, because I see it's one of the last things that people don't do, and it's one of the first things that people lose, to be honest. Because as soon as you're coming down, you go like this, right, and not you fucked up, like you fucked up, and I don't have the back strength, right. So again, that whole thing, I know my weaknesses. So if I do this, my good mornings are trash. I'm not going to be able to survive. I have to stay here. If I don't stay here and I go forward at all, I'm probably it's going to dump.
Yes.
I don't have the back strength for it.
So
I
before
actually
you
have
go,
a question. It's
Yeah.
about the setup.
Yeah.
Um,
I can walk you through deeper if you want, man.
yeah, this is really good. One thing that I've always been confused about is, do you take a full breath before you pick up the bar? Like when you're
Yes.
getting under the bar, are you supposed to like do all your breath like for your brace, or do you just do like a little one, kind of unrack it? I know you said you do one breath.
I do one, and purely because I'm a smaller frame. Maybe people have the strength to do it. I've seen men do it, and they're still successful in their lift, and I like their lift. It's not ugly. But for me, when I have that weight on my back, I'm crushed, right? Like it is down. For me to even go again and fill anything up, I'm expecting my diaphragm to do quite a bit of work there. So I know myself enough to know that I don't personally have that extra strength to do it, but I'm not picking up that bar unless I know I am set with my breath. Because sometimes I'll take 2 breaths if I felt like my first breath was weak. Like if I was just like, and I was like, that wasn't enough, I'll let it out. I'm like, there we go. You know what I mean? And then I go. And then I hold my breath the whole time. I don't care how long the lift takes. I hate it when people let their air out. That's just so silly to me. It's like, I don't care if you're groaning. I don't care what you're doing. There should be no air leaving your body at all. But so yeah, some people will take their and do a second one. And I've seen a lot of people kind of tell me to try and do that. I physically can't. I feel like it throws me off a little bit. Maybe it's just too heavy for my body to kind of like do that. But I've seen big guys do it.
Yeah, I've played around with it a little bit, and then I've tried the one breath.
Yeah.
And usually before I'm about to squat, I feel like I'm gonna black out.
Yeah, no, I
So
get that
if
way
it-
too. But see, I love that,
Yeah.
like that, because again, like when everything starts to go black, and that happens quite often, pretty quickly. That's when all of my like adrenaline is on fire. I think I'm a flight or fight person, and I'm just a fighter. So it's just it gets turned on, and it is like game on. I love that feeling, especially as I'm going in the hole, and that's how I know I'm getting like deep enough, right? Because like when that black hole is getting smaller and smaller, and I'm like, I probably have another inch to go. Here we go, and then I'm like, here we go, this is great. And then I hear up and I'm like, thank God. But that's, yeah, I only do one because I'm not successful on that second breath. It makes me weaker.
Okay.
But I have seen it be successful with some people. So I feel like maybe give that a shot. But my personal opinion, it would be shocking to me that you can get a second stronger breath with weight on your back, just physicality wise.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
good to know.
Well, it depends if they're walking out or not.
Oh yeah, if they're walking,
Right?
that's a
If
whole,
they're
yeah,
walking out,
correct.
it's going to be a little bit different.
That's true.
So going back to your setup before you actually do the pick, I call it like a mini pick. Are you putting in a little bit when you're trying to set your feet? Are you putting a little pressure in the bar just to make sure the feet are rooted?
A lot of pressure. I actually prefer to just be able to make it out of the hole. Out of the rack. Like I want that like positioning where it's all I do. I want like a half an inch, and I'm really particular. Like I don't need more than that. I don't need less than that. I want this specific pressure between the ground and the bar and me. Like my body should feel like like stuck. Like that's how I want to feel. That's how I feel, like a unit. There's nothing moving me from this position. And if I don't feel it, I'll keep adjusting my feet. I'm pretty good about taking my time on my my setup. I would say it's probably one of the best things about my lifts is my form and my setup, my technique.
Well, it's one of the things I think that not just gear, this will happen in raw if they're not walking it out, is they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then they step up, and then as soon as they step up, you can already see the bars shifting. It's like, motherfucker, all you had to do was check your feet.
Correct.
That one last time just to be sure.
Yeah.
And then when they'll do it, they'll either do way too much, like the fucking bar comes out.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I know.
Like, the fuck?
Yes, I know.
Or not enough.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but okay. So now you're clear, right?
Yeah.
And 2 things are going on. You're waiting for a squat command if they have one, but it really doesn't matter because you're not going to know. You're not going to go down until you know you're ready to go down, because everything has to kind of ground itself.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking to feel to know you're grounded and ready to go down?
I want full foot connection with the floor. Like I want all of like, so if you think about it, right, when you have something that you're putting pressure on, if you only have one section of it, you're losing force immediately. So I want 100% of my foot needs to be rooted and stuck into that ground. And I have full pressure. I want to feel every PSI. I want it to be everything. I want to feel all of it. So that is what I need to feel, is complete full control of my foot. The next thing I need to feel is that immense pressure. Like I need to feel that I'm compressed. Like that's like the feeling that I'm looking for. And then as I'm going down, now this is my bigger one, is again, keeping my chest. I keep it like slight lean, but I try to stay as erect as possible because again, I know that my back is weak. Some people do a significant, gorgeous lean, and I wish I had the back strength to do it, and I just don't. So I have to kind of have a little bit of a hybrid from like beautiful lean that people can do to like being too erect, right? Like some guys are too erected, then they're going forward on their knees and they just don't have that hip ability to open up. And then another like really big one that that I was able to learn, especially like being in the healthcare field, was like that ball socket joint into your femur, into your hip. When people kept saying like knees out, it wasn't resonating with me until somebody said, I want you to take your femur and I want you to externally rotate it inside of your hip joint. That right there, that was another thing that I added in. Once I rooted my feet, I externally rotated. You could see my quads go poof, like they just pop right out. And then at that point, it's so easy to sit back into it like a frog. So easy. It like changed my life because people kept saying like, open up, sit back, open up, sit back. I wasn't understanding what they meant until somebody said, take your femur head and externally rotate it. And I was like this? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, that feels significantly deeper. And then I actually changed my foot position from being kind of a little bit more out to a little bit more forward. And that right there also gave my hips something like stronger to push up against into my briefs. And then so now I felt that femur externally rotating. I felt a lot more pressure onto like my middle quad area, like into the briefs because of that foot change that I had. And then that started to, now as I'm getting deeper and deeper, what people also don't understand too is when you cut your depth high, you're losing out on that spring, right? Like you're setting a spring, the deeper you go, that more of a rebound you're going to get as long as you stay in position. Right? As long as you stay in a good position, you're going to get a really nice rebound the deeper you go. So that's just also something I think people aren't understanding. Did I
Well,
lose track of your
when you go
question?
down, what breaks first? Knees, hips?
When I go down, the first thing is my hips. Hips breaking first, knees are coming. But my hips break first.
All right, so then as you're going down, where are you feeling the tension? Because as you're going down, you may or may not have to correct,
Yeah.
right? So where are you feeling the tension?
Yeah.
Is it in the quads? Is it in the hips? Is it in the glutes?
It's in my hips and my back. My back, I am so hyper focused on keeping this position because again, I'm scared shitless of losing it. So I am like, I lat pull it into me, and then now I'm like tucking this in. It is as tight on my back as possible. If I feel any movement this way, I'm immediately trying to fix that. And I think on my 820 squat, at the last women's pro-am, I had a little bit of a moment of this, and then I saw myself fix it. That fried my back so bad, man. I was like, I felt it too, and I was like, oh, that was everything my back had to give. And I still had one more squat, and that really pissed me off because I shouldn't have lost my position.
When
But
you went back and looked at the video, why did you lose it?
I think I just wasn't as tight as I needed to be. I think I got too excited. I think I got too excited and I lost my focus a smidge. And I think my pick, I think I could have probably settled it just a half a second more before taking it. Just a lot happens in that moment, zero excuses. But I lost my focus like for like a half a second, and it was enough for me to. But I fixed it.
Yeah.
I was very happy with my 820 squat. I was not as happy with my 855, but it is what it is. But my 820 squat, I was proud of it, but it took me. It took me for a
All right.
ride.
So now you're getting down to where, things are, line of sight is beginning to turn dark,
Gone.
right? So when you're called up, what
am I imagining?
not really, what are you imagining? What are you contracting first?
back into the bar, right? Because again, if my hips rise and my back stays, I'm screwed. So my first thing, somebody once told me, and this was a great analogy for me, pretend like there's a little kid over your shoulders in the pool and you're trying to launch them off of you into the pool, right? And that was a really big one for me. I don't know why, maybe because I've just done it a few times. I was like, oh, I know exactly what that means like to me. So when I'm in the hole, that's one of my first things that I do. I throw my back into the bar, and right there, that's really kind of the only thing that I focus on. I'll be honest with you. The rest just comes. And then usually I'll slow down like mid squat. If I'm slowing down, it's going to be right here. But if I'm here, I got it. It might take me 10 minutes, but I'll finish it.
Yeah. So is that at that point, if it slows down and it gets there, is it just a grind?
100%.
Or, okay.
100%. Yeah. I prefer those. I train my grinds really, really hard. And I think that's a lot of people, especially women. I'll see a lot of people, as soon as they hit that wall where it's like, oh, it's too hard, they immediately let it go. And oh my gosh, that drives me so crazy because this is your weak point. Train it. I don't care if you're not moving. Just hold it until your body literally caves. And if your body comes down, cool, hold that too. Hold that down there too. Hold that down here too. Until it comes back down to you, just hold it, because that is where you're going to get your strength from. That's probably one of the reasons why I'm able to grind. I can grind. If I'm in a good position, I can grind it and I'll come up. It will take me a long time and I may pass out or pee or something, but but I'll be fine.
If you're pulling your the lats, like using your lats and pulling the bar into you, I know you said the talon grip. I've never really heard of that. How does that work if your hands are like under you? How are you really locking in that?
Yeah, so my hands are like this. So the bar is sitting kind of like this. Actually like this. Not like this. So the bar is sitting just like this. So I still grab that. The reason why you do a talon grip is usually if you don't have a good range of motion with your shoulders, because a lot of people, they can't grip like this and then they can't bring their elbows forward enough to keep that chest position high. So a lot of times they're like stuck in this position if they're not going talon. That talon grip, it just changes the position of your shoulder a little bit to allow that range of motion. I did it. I got really chubby. Like I was a big girl. So I think that I was losing that range of motion a little bit. And it just, to me, it almost feels like a fist more. Like to me, when I'm grabbing something like this versus something like this, I feel like I can get a little bit more aggressive with that grip. But my grip is quite weak. So that was also something like the bar would roll and things like that. I just felt like I had a better grip on it with a talon.
Okay,
but
so
usually people use it for a range of motion issue. Usually that's the guys who are super wide at the knurlings, but
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Now let's run through the bench.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, let's go, man.
Yep.
Ooh, okay. All right. So the bench.
So you're walking up to the bench because we can't just say you're already lying down.
Yeah. I'm walking up to the bench. Now, I played with my setup a few times, but one of the biggest things that I required from somebody else, and that's why I tried to manipulate it so that I didn't need someone's help, but I needed my handler to set my back on the bench, and I wasn't able to find a way around it. When I'm raw, when I'm setting up, I usually first, if this is maybe crazy, but I sit down on the bench, and right now I would kind of get my fat from my inner thighs tucked underneath me and get it out of the way. So that's just what I would do. I'd open up my hips as much as I possibly can and really straddle that thing and make sure that I am as open as my hips can be. That's the first thing that I do. I'm setting up right here. I'm opening my hips. And then afterwards, now I'm leaning back. I lean back. And then when I get down to the point raw, I'm able to use my hands. And that's when I push myself into the position. So now I'm using the whatever is on the sides, right? The upright things. And I'm using that to get myself into the position. And now I get as high up on my traps as I possibly can. And at that point now I'm doing my anal hand grip. I'm making sure that it's exactly where it needs to be. And then the same thing that you would do with your feet, you should be gripping that bench bar and gripping it, ripping your hand into that bar. It should be attached to your hands, right? And people say pull the bar apart. I actually don't really use that cue too much. Maybe a little bit more in the multiply. But with raw, I'm more so pretending as if I'm doing a straight arm lat pull. And that's usually what I'm doing just directly out of the rack. This is another one where I really don't like to clear the rack too much. A lot of people start with their elbows bent and kind of do that to come out. I never did that. I don't think that that's a great idea, because right now, again, as soon as there's weight in your hand, you're going to be in a weaker position than when there is not weight in your hand and your joint is straight, just period. I start with locked triceps. I start with my elbows completely locked. And now it's just a straight arm lat pull. Everything is as tight as it needs to be already. And now I'm just rowing it in, keeping it as tight as I can. I'm squeezing the bar as hard as I can. Not exactly doing that pull the bar apart. I don't really have that cue in my brain, but I'm squeezing really hard. And then now I am trying to bring my belly as close to that that bar as possible. I don't want to move that bar much. I want to bring my chest to the bar with keeping your butt on the bench. I'm flat. My feet are completely flat and pretty outwards. That's where my feet are usually positioned quite far out. And then at that point, I like to hold it, squeeze it. And again, like I'm almost losing breath at this point. I keep my head flat. My head's not coming up. I'm putting a lot of pressure on my upper back and just getting that belly up, and then going a little bit over your head. That up position that I normally do, I pretend like you're punching someone. Like when you go to punch someone, you're going to do that natural little curve. So that's kind of what I'm doing with my hands. That's how I'm envisioning it. I'm envisioning as if I want to punch someone through the bar, and I don't want to just like finish the lift, right? Like in boxing and stuff, like when you go to hit your opponent, I'm not supposed to just be like aiming for your face. I'm supposed to be aiming for behind your face, right? Like you're going to gain more power that way. So the same thing, like I'm not looking to just lock it out. Like a lot of people, a lot of people too, when they lock out the bench, they'll just put it right into the rack. And I'm like, oh, you didn't even finish the lift, man. Like you didn't even lock it out all the way. And that's not how competition is going to be. Don't train that way. You should train how competition is always. That's how I
So then how's it change with the shirt?
With a shirt. So now I'm stuck in like this position, right? So now I can't do that whole setup. So what I do, I fix like my hips. I get my fat out of the way, make sure that it's as open as they can possibly be. Now I'm leaning back with like my hands, and then I'll use the bar a little bit to set my own back. And then at this point, I take a deep breath, and my handler already knows he's going to be using my shoulders and tucking me up as much as we possibly can go. I still want to be like pretty directly underneath the bar. So sometimes we have to readjust if I didn't go back far enough, or if I'm too far forward or something like that. But so at that point he'll set me, and then here I can set my own hands, which I like. I don't like having someone else having to set my hands. That throws me off. I really don't want many people touching me. I want to be in full control. So that's the only time that he'll like touch there. Sometimes he'll even point to where like the ring is, because like when I'm seeing things, sometimes it's just like I can't see. So I think I'm just because I'm so hyper focused that I'm not even like seeing things. So he'll like point to like the ring. So that's always super, super helpful for me. And then again, I'm starting with a complete locked out arms the whole time. And then when I come back out, same thing. And at this point, this is where it's more of like that arch effect, right? So now my bar path, sometimes I get into the habit of bringing it a little bit into my shoulders first. But if that bar path is perfect and I'm already here, I'm just going straight down. As soon as I hear one, it is a straight down from that one. And then it's just that last little half inch could be a little tricky.
Are you watching the bar or not?
I'm watching the bar the whole time. I'm literally just watching everything. They're already telling me like two, and I'm like, yeah, I know, man, I could see it. I already know. But so then as soon as I touch it, rock it over my face.
I built Elite FTS in 1998, 27 years ago, with the aim to help educate as many people as I could in strength and conditioning. And the way to do that was to keep all the content complementary. The way that we've been able to do that since day one is by providing the best products possible to help your training program. If you can put the item in a gym bag or load plates on it, we have it, and it will work. Everything from SS yoke bars to American press bars, bands. There's thousands of products on the website. We also have a strength equipment specialist staff that helps outfit home gyms, high school training centers, sport training centers, colleges that have over 3 decades of experience and also have spent a lot of time working as coaches, so they understand the flow of the weight room and how things actually get done. If you're serious about your training and you want to up your game and support the podcast and all the content that we provide, head over to elitefts.com and use the code TABLETALK at checkout to receive 10% off your orders.
But Yeah, it's not as scientific, I think, as much as I am with the squat. But the setup it is, but like the whole process of my bench, it's really just bringing my chest to the bar and keeping a really, really solid foundation between my hips and my, like, I'm really wide, I'm far out, I'm stable. I'm
What do you
very
do when a
stable.
bar gets hung up with a shirt?
Hung up
You
like,
can't touch.
yeah.
I mean, it's you're.
Yeah, the katana was a
Well,
big
there's a
fish.
couple things there. Like you're going to try to force it, but then there's a point where you're just going to
You just
bail,
can't.
right?
Yeah.
So it's when it gets hung up. What do you do to try to force it?
There's a few things. I wet the shirt a lot. So I'll do a lot of wetting the shirt beforehand. I'll do a lot of warm-ups like in the shirt prior. So I usually break in the shirt quite a bit before I go for a touch anyway. Like let's just say it's like my first. So for instance, for this last one, I was going to go for the 605 to beat Becca Swanson. While I was training for that, I had just bought a new insert shirt. It was like a $500 shirt. Super excited. I took weeks and weeks and weeks, about 8 to 9 weeks of bringing it to a 3 board a couple times, bringing it to a 2 board a couple times, bringing it to a 1 board, bringing it to a half board. And then I was about to touch and I was like, this is going to be sick. So I touched it and it was sick. It was like a high 5 number. I can't remember what it was, 565 or something, but it was insane. It was great. It was a really good press. But as soon as I was pressing, it ripped. Yeah, it ripped, dude. And I was like, and this is when I had to decide. I'm 32. I'm a woman. I want to start a family. I want to like live a life. I was buying the gym. I had a lot coming for me. I was ready to compete at that time period, like 6 months. I was like, I'm ready to like get into a meet prep. Let's go for this. When it ripped, me and Andrew, my mentor, I really had to sit down and like think. I was just like, a whole nother shirt. Like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, I don't know if I have it in me to keep doing this. You know what I mean? And my forearm, I was having a lot of pain in my forearm. And I had talked to Heidi Hauer about her forearm injury and stuff like that. And I was asking her, like, when are your first inklings that something was going to happen, you know? And she's like, I had some pain. Like, I had pain in my forearm. And I there was something in me that was telling me it was like a stress fracture. I never once got an imaging or anything like that. But anything that would put direct pressure into my hand, it would cause, I'm really great with pain. I'm fine with it. It was bad pain. And it didn't feel like a muscular pain. It didn't feel like a tendonitis. It felt like a deep ache. And I just felt like I was playing with fire. Like if you look at Becca Swanson, like she's her joints, man, are solid, way bigger than mine, way bigger. And I got tiny little wrists, like way tiny little wrists. And they killed me every time I was lifting bench. Every time I would take me like a week to recover, then I'm back into a bench, right? Like I just always had wrist pain. I still do. And I haven't lifted heavy in a while. So I'm probably have some underlying arthritis too. But I really think I was knocking on an injury's door. So at that point, I was just like, am I going to go back to the katana? Am I going to keep like using this one? Because I felt like I could have a little bit more control with the red SDP. So I was just like, I felt like I really, really wanted the red insert shirt. And then it failed me. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do at that point. And I also had to gain like 20 more pounds. I wanted to gain a little bit of weight too. At that moment, I was just like, I need to kind of reevaluate my time frame because I wanted to do this in 6 months. And now we're looking at probably another 18 months. And I just didn't know if I had that in me. I wanted to own the gym in like a few months, you know? So
this was post last year's Pro-Am, right?
Yeah.
So you lost weight for the bench, right? So after that last, I don't want to say your last meet, right? Because nobody's ever going to say this was your last meet, but there's weight drop, right? Which means your bench form is going to have to change everything. So there's multiple things going on. You have to learn how to bench at a lighter weight.
Yeah.
What did you have to change just on that regard?
Just on that, actually, I started to notice my butt was coming up more. So that was like a problem a little bit that I was having. So I had to like widen my stance just a bit more to kind of prevent that. But other than that, I mean, it was more so just making sure that I was keeping up with my accessories, like my triceps and things that I knew that were my weak point, my front delts. But the weight, that wasn't like my biggest problem. It was finding a gear that like was suitable for me.
No, but that becomes dicey if you're dropping weight at the same time.
Yeah, no, it does. But I wasn't trying to lose that much weight right then. It kind of just happened after a competition. Like I said, I usually do like a few weeks of raw stuff. I kind of dial it back a little bit and I lose a little bit of weight. I'll lose about like 15 pounds. And like the shirt felt a little bit loose, but I just knew that when I'm gaining that back for the meet prep, it was going to like bounce right back. But my raw numbers probably took about a 10-pound hit. Nothing crazy. So I wasn't like too hyper focused on that. I was more so hyper focused on what gear am I going to wear? And is this the shirt for me? Is this going to get me to 605, or not? Cause I could usually tell just from the top end of the weight, like what am I pressing? I should be, doubling 655. I had a two
Yeah.
board, you know what I mean? If I really want a 605 bench. And it kind of, it felt like it was going to be there. It really did. And then it ripped. And then I had to like go back to a drawing board of like, am I going to go back to the katana, which was just too tight for me at that time. And like wait for a Titan to send me a brand new shirt. You know what I mean? It just, time frame wise, I just kept seeing like every time something would come up, it would just add 6 months, add 6 months, add 6 months to my goal, And then like, the guys in my gym, they're like, you're looking at about 2 years. And I'm like, I'm going to be 34. I'm single. It's crazy for women, it sucks. Like if I was a guy, I'd probably be like, cool, man, like awesome. But it really does change the game a little bit, as much as I don't want to say it, it does. If I want to start a family or geriatric at 35, I'm single. I'm 32. I'm going to need some time to like find someone and like, actually do everything I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I need some time, man.
At least 12 months, right?
I need some time frame here. So at that point I was just like, and it's funny because nobody knows you, right? Like who gives a shit? Even if I did hit the 605, like Becca Swanson went very far, obviously, like people know her, but like if I go to the grocery store, like nobody fucking knows what I bench. Nobody cares. So like at my grand scheme of things, I was like, what matters more to me at this point? Like I've already had my world records. I already did like the numbers that I've wanted to do. This 605 I tacked on because of like how presumably easy the 545 was for me. I had like a little bit of cockiness to me. I was just like, oh, I could add 50 pounds to this. I know I can. And I still think I could have. And if I wanted to, I probably could still do it. It was just more so risk versus reward. And I didn't feel like the reward for me personally was heavy enough than the risk.
So how do you deal with the identity shift? Because you still live in that culture.
Yeah, you have no idea.
I do.
I'm like, yeah, you do. You're right. I'm sorry. You do. Man, especially, starting as an owner, for powerlifting, right? Like taking over as ownership in January, that was scary as hell for me because I'm a female, right? Like, and we go based off hierarchy, based off of strength, based off of who could swing their dick the most, right? And I'm just like, I don't have a dick to swing, but I can pretty strong and I know my shit. And like my people respect me. And that right there was another shift for me, right? So like at that moment, not only was I shifting from being this strength, like that was my definition of me, but I'm also switching over into an ownership position, which is a completely new identity as well. And I was just kind of like still starting my new job, and I'm a nurse practitioner now. There's this whole what's that word called when you don't know who you are anymore. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like imposter syndrome was hardcore. I was like, who do I think I am? Am I strong enough to do this? Are they going to respect me enough? Am I going to lose my members? You know what I mean? Like, are people going to want to stay for me? And things like that. But as somebody who would jump in on the heaviest squats, and it took me years to work in with the heavy squat mono guys. Like I was with the heavy lifters. I was keeping up with them. Sure, maybe I was the last one in line, but I was with them. And I was the only girl who was with them. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So I loved that. I wanted to continue to do that. But as I brought myself down, now I've kind of switched over into, I want to be more of a mentor. I want to do more of like, I'll wrap your knees for you. Let me show you how to do this right. Let me fix your form for you. Let me do this. I want to bring more members in and help them, teach them how to do the right thing to get them into a position that I was at. So really it's taken a lot, but I had to like sit down and be like, who do you want to be now? Right? Like I'm no longer going to be the lifter, but I could be your mentor, and I could be the person that they can once look up to as some type of, like Northern Star, you know what I mean? Like I want to be something that people can look at and be like, okay, like if she could do it, I could do it. Cause that's how my mindset was, right? If there was a person on this earth that has done it before, I could do it too. There's nothing, it's no different. You're human, I'm a human. There's nothing different from that. So I just don't find, the mentality shift that it required was very similar to everything else that I've done, right? Like from being a dog groomer and going to the emergency department, that was a huge one too. I was cleaning dogs' butts, and now I'm like into helping intubate this patient and making sure he's not going to die on my watch. That's a huge difference, and you're so embedded in who you were every step of your life. And I think I've changed very drastically every step of my life. And it's required a mentality shift hardcore. But one of my biggest things is finding finding your core values. And as long as you stick to those core values, then you will be true to who you are. And my 3 core values are authenticity, respect, and self-development. So as long as all 3 of those things are being respected and being honored, then I'll be a happy person at the end of the day.
How did you come to the decision that purchasing the gym would be a good idea?
That was another hard one. I had just started my career. Mike came to me and asked me if I wanted to buy it. And I couldn't say no, man. It felt like a 360, right? Like I graduated college to own a gym, and then I kind of left that to the wind. And I was like, maybe one day when I retire, I'll open a gym and I'll do something like when I'm like slower. But then when it came to me, I wasn't going to let him give it to anyone else because I'm like, if I am in the running, I'm going to take it. And so I was just like, yes, the answer is yes, but I need like 18 months to save, please. And he was just like, no problem. And I was just like, all right. So then we would meet up like every few months and kind of talk about it, make sure it was still happening, something he still wanted to do, something I still wanted to do. Saved a lot of funds. I had my family help me out. And so it was something that it felt like I almost had to. It felt dumb to say no. And I would regret it. I know I would regret it.
So as you move forward with it, what plans are going to be different than the plans that were prior?
For me, like my own personal goals.
Well, for the gym.
For the gym, yeah. So, for the gym, we are very like club oriented, right? It's definitely not commercialized whatsoever. There's only like 40 members, quite a few, even less now, like maybe 36 members. And as I said, it's empty most of the time, right? Like it's not a moneymaker at all. Mike just kind of created it to be a spot for him and his friends to lift, right? So I'm taking over like a club, not exactly like a fully operating gym that has hours and recordings and like things that you use. There's just one key. People put in the code, they come on in, they play their music, they lift, and they get out. Like there's no such thing, right? People were bringing in toilet paper towels. That's just how we did things. Very community styled. So with that, with me, with my business degree, but also like with my nurse practitioning, I wanted to make a little bit more money. I don't need it to make a lot of money, but it would be cool if it can cover like one bill a month. That'd be kind of cool. Like I'm not looking for much, man. But this one back room that we had for storage, I renovated it. Literally, I spent overnights and I just renovated it in the back room, and I made it into like a medical little office. So my goal is to kind of like use that for like IV hydration, peptide therapy, hormone therapy, and kind of use that in my gym using the company that I work for right now. Like they're going to rent that spot and things like that. But also, having personal trainers come in and, using my gym because there's a lot of hours where there's nobody there and they could rent the space and things like that. So there's different ways that I'm trying to come up with without, disrupting the old school underground powerlifting vibe, by bringing like high schoolers in and like kids who don't care about lifting. I don't really want to bring in that environment at least yet until I have at least a separate spot for just my powerlifting guys and then like a commercial area. I would like to keep it pretty separate because I want to honor the atmosphere that Mike has created and that has like cultivated these insane monsters. I want them to be able to be dirty, to be grunting and not scare the people around them. So I don't mind them having their own space, but I have to save up and like we're renting right now. I want to own. I want to own. I'm not a renter. I don't like to rent. I want to own. It's just going to take a lot of finding out of how to do that, which is a question I actually wanted to ask you because I believe that you rented for like 20 years before you owned, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I kind of want to talk about to see like how exactly I can transition over to that sooner or at least as quick as I can, but still make an intelligent decision, right? So just I think like my goal right now would be awesome. Like this might be a 10 or 15 year goal is I would love to buy a piece of land, build my house on the piece of land and build my gym on the same piece of land, but have my house tucked back and have the gym up front. That way I live there, man.
Yeah.
Like that would be like ideal.
I mean, for us, it really wasn't that hard of a decision because the rent keeps going up each year.
I know.
And so as the rent kept going up and the more and more things that we had to put into the building, heat, shit that I had to pay for, but I couldn't take.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
And that starts adding up. And then we start doing the numbers and we had to renew the lease. And then the fucking, it was going to go up again.
Yeah.
Then we just compared that, to what would it be if we just went somewhere else, but if we built our own place. And it was cheaper to build. Well, then it becomes the issue. You got to find the fucking land.
Yeah.
You know, there's all that
Yeah.
kind of goes along with it, because nothing's ever easy. But it just got to that point where it's like this place that we were at, it's not even fucking worth what they're asking. And it just kept going up and up and up. And it's like, come on, you know, this is fucked up. But if location matters, I mean, for us, location really didn't matter. If location matters, it's a big deal.
It does matter.
And if we went into Columbus, the rent was just 3 times. It's like, well, we can't be profitable. You can't do that. Buying the existing place, when we looked into that, the quote that he gave us was insane.
Yeah.
It's like, I forget what it was, but it's kind of not relevant because everything's demographic related, but it was like 3 million or some shit. And it was cost half to build our own.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, the fuck, you know? And
it's crazy.
So
that's actually quite inspiring, though, because it's something that I'm highly looking into. My first month of ownership as a gym owner, my first run, the unit next to us, they stopped paying their heat bill. So the heat bill turned off, their pipes froze, flooded my gym. Flooded it, and then my heat broke. So my first month of ownership, I literally was an owner for I think a week and a half. My gym was flooded. I had just raised the membership, so that's awesome. So I had to shut down my gym after just raising it because the rent went up and my insurance went up. Everything that he was once paying has now increased, and we were barely making it as it was. So I had to go up, and so it flooded, and then the heat broke. And this was when I'm assuming it was around the same temperature degrees around here, but it was like 2 degrees. Literally, it was the coldest part of the season, and I was just like, really awesome, this is great. And then like, oh well, you pay for the heat, like the heat is on you, like you have to buy a new unit and then like you keep it here. And I was like, I'm sorry, that sounds ludicrous. What? And then like the flood, obviously they paid for it because that was none of my doing. But it took weeks and weeks for them to do it. Like I was like, give me the mop, I'll do it myself tonight. I was like, but they were like, no, we got to do it, blah blah. And I hate that. Now, why am I suffering because somebody else is lacked on their bills, right? Like that's like unacceptable in my opinion. So at that moment, I was literally like a month in, and I'm like, I'm buying my own place. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to buy my own place because this is crazy. So I couldn't agree more with you. And it's definitely it's going to be something that I do.
I just want to take a moment to let you know about our crew. What our crew is, it allows the show to stay independent, and it's the reason why the podcast is still here now. The podcast is free to listen to, but it's not free to produce. It keeps going because of the sales through Elite FTS, our show sponsors, but more importantly, our crew members. The reason I love this is for many reasons, is it keeps the show independent. So I can pick who I want to speak to. I can pick what topics I want to speak to, and I don't have to be accountable to anybody. I just go off what the crew members want and what the audience wants, and I don't have to deal with all the other bullcrap that's associated with the podcast world. In return, what you get with the crew is ad-free episodes that are released a day ahead of time. You get access to our Discord community, which has AMAs, like 60 ebooks. We try to put a new ebook out every single month. Access to our coaching community with form checks, training Q&As. It also gives you invitations to our training retreats that are out here in the gym once or twice a year. 76% of all the people that joined in 2022 are still members now. Right now, you can either go month to month or get 2 months free with an annual plan. Just look for the link in the description, look at the QR code, or search elitefts.com crew and join today. It means a lot. All right, before we get into the recovery thing, something that hit me, and when I went to use the restroom, is from a business perspective, the one thing that I'll tell anybody that's starting a business or getting into business that I think is important is as soon as you can establish a line of credit, get the line of credit. That's not like a credit card, a line of credit with the bank. Now, that's where things can diverge, right? Yeah. A lot of people will want to operate their business on other people's money. I'm not somebody that has ever done that. I'm not comfortable with that. Might be one of my biggest regrets, as I go forward, right? Because if you can do it and do it effectively, it's great. Yeah. Right. But most businesses fail, and I'd hate to fail and, owe somebody. Exactly. But having the line of credit will save your ass so many times because it's not easy, right? Then when you have a bad month, you can't, if you've already went to friends and family, you can't go back and say, hey, look, this sucks, where the credit card interest rate's way too freaking high. Where if there's any revenue or any cash flow coming into a business, whoever you're doing banking with should offer you some line of, I don't care if it's $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is, to be able to build it up over a period of time, because there will come a time, right, when you're going to need that, and you can pull into it in in emergencies. At least it gives you that little bit of protection that's there. And then as time goes, you want to keep trying to increase that as much as you possibly can, because some economies, they're almost like just giving money away. Other economies, they're not. You know, so when they're giving it away, you want to increase it, and you also want to be prepared, because most bankers are dickheads. Right. So I remember once going in and trying to get our line of credit increased, and what I wanted to get it increased was equal to, it was actually 10% less than the cash that we had in the bank at all times for the past 5 years. And the dude was like, oh no, we got to have another conversation if we're going to do this. And that pissed me off so bad. It's like, motherfucker, you're using my money to loan out to all these other people. And all I'm asking for is something equal to, you know, but just be prepared for that shit. But it's, I mean, if not, then your fail safe is going to end up being like 28 or 30% credit card, which is, if you're pulling on a line of credit, the odds that you're going to be able to pay that back within that 30-day period is nil, right? So now you're paying out the ass for whatever that is. But it just gives that little bit of comfort that's in there. And if you can't find it, keep going to different banks to be able to find it.
No, I love that. Okay, thank you.
All right. So we kind of tapped on it earlier, because when you were going through school and doing all this shit at one time, you were able to recover effectively because you were just young, right? And if we were to play pretend and say that all this training stuff started for you, I don't want to ask 5 years ago, right? So now you're not going to recover as effectively as what you were 10 years ago, right? And you had the more time and you had more resources. How would you go? Because this is what you would advise the people that are either training in Hellbent or people that are coming to you for help now. Assuming, we got to make some assumptions here, assuming they're training hard enough to actually need recovery, right?
Correct. Seriously.
Right? So there's that one big caveat that plays into there, right? Assuming they're doing that and their nutrition is okay, right? It's not a complete fucking disaster. It's a 4 out of 10, right? Okay. Which is, it's most strength athletes, right? And then what would be some of the things that you would do outside of just the active recovery, but more of the modalities that you're working with in the field that you're working in now to be able to help? And then how would they be periodized throughout the training plan?
Oh, this is great. So, you know, looking back on, if I'm concentrating on just kind of strength athletes, right? The biggest one is going to be sleep. I am going to press about sleep like it's no tomorrow. Sleep is when your body is actually recovering from everything, all the damage that you've just done, your huge intense workout. If you are not sleeping, you're not going to be releasing growth hormone. You're not going to be recovering from the muscle injuries that you have. And then you're going to wake up the next day dehydrated, not have any water until midday, and then have your workout again in the late afternoon. And you haven't even like recovered at all from the previous workout. So sleep is number one. That's when you're not only for even like for jujitsu or people who have like skill consolidation, even for us for our technique, right? Skill consolidation happens a lot during your REM sleep, right? So that's during that time is when your brain is rewiring, really hyper focusing and getting those things that you just learned and solidifying them, even studying. Now deep sleep, there's different realms, right? You have the core/light, you have the REM, you have deep sleep. Deep sleep, you're releasing a lot of the growth hormone. Growth hormone is going to help you with your metabolism, building lean muscle mass, decreasing subcutaneous or visceral fat. It's going to help with your energy levels, your recovery necessities, all these different things, longevity, vitality. Growth hormone is insanely important when released in the right amount. So sleep is number one. Number two is going to fall right into hydration, right?
Well, let's stay on sleep, and
okay,
I'm going to play the fictional meathead.
Okay,
right?
I like it.
All right, so and this is going to be pretty much everybody that we all would know. I can sleep fine as long as I have 2 Tylenol PM or NyQuil or a Xanax,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then they basically just knock themselves out.
Yep, they sure
So when they're doing that, then how's that affecting the sleep?
So, I'm not too mad about that. You're still getting the sleep that you require. However, that's telling me that your cortisol levels are probably going to be crazy because you're not actually like getting into that position. You're forcing yourself into it, right? So it's like you're backing yourself into a corner. You're not having a choice. But if you ease your way into your sleep, like people say, like that sleep hygiene, quote unquote, that is actually super, super studied very thoroughly. And it's very impressive how much like that blue light, staying away from your phone, listening to different types of noises while you sleep can really enhance like your natural sleep cycle. But when you're forcing yourself into that sleep, yes, you're still getting it. I'm happier to hear that than to say that you just don't sleep, to be honest. I would rather at least you have something to work with. However, I would prefer, like that just is just telling me that you have zero sleep hygiene. You're not going to bed at a reasonable hour. Your bed should be the only thing that you are doing in that bed. You could do sexual activity, but you could also sleep. That is the only thing that you should be doing in that bed. You shouldn't be studying in it. You shouldn't be reading in it. You shouldn't be watching TV in it. That way your brain now correlates bed equals sleep or sex.
Now,
So
will
just
those
run
meds
it together.
impact the REM or the deep sleep in any way?
We should what?
Will those meds impact in a negative way the REM?
I haven't studied that. I can't like speak upon that. I would be shocked to think that it wouldn't put you into a deeper sleep. I just wonder if it's going to keep you there consistently and like in an actual frame that you would require it to be. Like I'm wondering if it could just kind of shoot you there in the front of the night, and then in the rest of the night you're kind of back up to your normal levels. I don't know. I would have to study that a little bit.
So would going to bed close to the same time each day
Yes.
be one of the most important things?
Yes, and waking up around the same time. I don't care if you get an opportunity to sleep in. Like I just wouldn't take it. I wake up around like 5:45 almost every single day. Sometimes a little bit earlier. I prefer that. I get tired around 9, and I know my schedule very, very, very well. I would have to say, as of right now in my life, this is the best I've ever been when it comes to recovery, focus, sleep, energy levels, all of that. But it's because I have the time, right? So you're kind of talking about the people who are training and trying to get into their best selves and best types of training atmospheres without having a shitload of time, right?
Well, a lot of them that we're speaking about, they do have the time.
They do probably.
I mean, they'd be the lifters that
Yeah.
they have that time. One of the other impeding factors would be the anabolics.
Yeah.
Tren,
Yeah.
shit
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Impacting the sleep is to
Absolutely.
be the reason why they're going to slam a whole bottle of NyQuil to be able to knock themselves out.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Or if they train at night, right? Like if you have your pre-workout, you're taking your tren, you're going to go have a huge max effort attempt, and then you go home, you eat, and then what, you're trying to go to bed? Like that's not going to happen. Your body's revved right now. You sniff some ammonia. Like, come on now. Like you're not going to go to bed at a reasonable hour. Of course you're going to need that Tylenol PM. So, I think like knowing your own regimen, right? Like knowing if you're a late night training session person, then you might need to stay up a little bit later and sleep in a little bit more if you're able to. At that point, like that might be the manipulation that you need. I'm really not big on naps. I really don't think it's a smart decision. If you're a napper, there's something wrong. That's usually a problem that I can kind of get down to. I want to hear how many naps are you taking, what time of the day, is it usually around the same time? That's telling me that your testosterone is either plummeting, something is happening here. Are your sugar levels dropping? What's going on? Because that's not ideal. And now it's going to affect your sleep. And then this is a cyclic cycle, right? And then the less sleep you get, the less testosterone you're going to have too. I mean, there's just so many things and factors that sleep really is the number one always indicator of how well you are doing.
So after sleep is
hydration. And that's a whole nother one. Like a lot of people, when you go to bed, right? Like not a lot of people are drinking a glass of water and then going to bed, right? Like you probably haven't drank in like an hour or so, and then you're going to bed, you're sleeping for probably 5 to 6 hours, right? Then you wake up, they usually have a cup of coffee or a Celsius, right? Some type of energy drink, which is going to dehydrate you. Your first cup of water, honestly, like these normal people that are here, I'm looking at like 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe, if not at lunch when there's like, oh, I haven't had any water today. That is horrific. That's 12 hours that you've gone with zero water, and our body is made up of 75% water. So that's just crazy to think. And then you want your body to heal and to recover. Your cells are completely depleted at this point, your brain cells too. Some people are like, oh, like my lips are dry, my skin are dry, my eyes are dry. Yeah, you have no water in you. So just hydration is number 2. Number 3 would be the nutritional course, like, right, even supplements too. So number 3 is making sure that your protein, that should be just number 1 for any strength athlete. I mean, you should be eating at least a gram of protein per body weight, or at least goal body weight that you're trying to get at. But at least a gram. For the really strong athletes, you're looking at like 1.2 and 1.5 grams of protein that you should be getting a day. Are these people getting it? The guys who are 300 pounds, I highly doubt it. You know what I mean? Like, I highly doubt it. There's a lot of strength athletes, especially the guys in my gym. I'll hone in on them. I get mad at them because I'm like, bro, you are so strong, you're so capable, but you like eat like a 5-year-old child, like, right? You can't have mac and cheese and dino chicken nuggets and think that that's gonna bring you to the next level. So nutrition, I don't know how much I have to hone in on that one. So I said sleep, hydration, nutrition. Those are the top 3, and supplements. I'm big on supplements. I think a lot of people are using some supplements, but not exactly taking them at the right time. So that's like another fun kind of topic to kind of discuss. But creatine, number 1, love creatine. Everyone should be on creatine. I don't care if you're a girl, guy, how old you are, anything, unless you have some kidney diseases. But if you're a healthy, normal human, you should be on creatine. Who's looking to be a strength athlete, for sure.
I had a question about sleep, actually.
Yeah.
Should you, since you said sleep is such a crucial thing, number 1, if you're training, would it be wise to, if you're sleeping really well, like, and you're supposed to train in the morning, like if you wake up, set your alarm, and you wake up and you're just like, I don't think I have it in me today, right now, to do the best I need to do. Would it be a lazy approach to push it to the next day to where you can train at a better time and you feel better and more rested? Or is that more like is that kind of like a lazy approach? Like, oh, I don't want to grind today, I'd rather just push it to tomorrow. Or is that more of a smart play, knowing you're not going to go in doing as well as you'd like to just because you're tired, you'd rather wait?
Yeah, really, really good question. I would have to say it depends on if you have that time. If you have that time and the manipulation to do that, then go for it. Then 100% listen to your body, right? If you're just like, hey, listen, I know that I didn't recover last night, I'm going to fix it. Today I'm going to have an amazing recovery day, and then tomorrow I can come back and I kill it. Go for it. But a lot of people don't really have that leniency or that time to be able to be like, hey, like, I'll just hit it tomorrow and do that. If you're in meet prep and you have to like hit these days, and if you're in a powerlifting community the way that most people are, when they kind of just have these crews around certain times, you may not be able to, then you may just have to push it. And then at that point, if you're waking up knowing that you're not recovered, you could do everything in your power until you hit your training time to fix it, right? Like hydrate like a motherfucker, eat really good foods up until that point, take any type of supplement that you need to take depending on what exactly happened to you in the middle of the night. Did you drink alcohol? Can you go get an IV real quick? Like if you have the time and the modalities to actually fix the issue that just happened, or time to just push the event, go for it. But if you don't, then it is what it is, man.
Yeah. Then you gotta lock in.
You gotta lock in. Yeah.
Right.
Because because if you think about it, right, like when you go for a competition, you're taking a week off, right? Like you should be having like a deload session, when it's just like you're taking it off. You should be doing a lot of stretching. You should be doing a lot of mobility, getting under the bar, mind to muscle, things like that, just keeping the blood flow. You're not going to get much in that last week, but your recovery should be on point. I really wish people would concentrate on that last week, but use that throughout their entire meet prep. If you just nailed your recovery and your mobility and your training during the entire meet prep and not just hone in on it that last week, you'd be so shocked what can happen to you meet day, man. That's insane. Why do you think you are the strongest on meet day? Because you actually took the time to recover appropriately, right? So it's just like, that's just something that gets dropped super easily. I mean, I see people, they're all of a sudden coming in, they're doing stretches I've never seen them do before. I'm like, what are you doing? Just because it's the last week, you think now this is going to be the big difference? You should have been doing this all along. That's my thought on that.
So when you were doing Laura's programs, because there's a lot of extra workouts that will be built into that.
Sure are.
Which some of them play into the active recovery.
Yeah.
So when you look at those now, if you're advising and mentoring somebody, or even when you were going through them, there's still a decision that has to be made before you go in to do that.
Yep.
Sometimes the best decision is not to do
it.
anything,
Yep.
right? Because it's recovery,
Yep.
right? So actually the best thing for recovery is
recovery,
right?
Exactly.
And so how do you advise people to manage to do that or not do that?
Yeah. That would be mostly based off of your physicality at that point. If you're waking up and you are wrecked, I'm talking like your back is fried, everything's fried, you feel inflamed. Like people know that feeling, right? You just are hot to the touch. I know there's sometimes where I'll lay in my bed and every joint like hits, it feels like they need a pillow on every joint because it's just so inflamed. If you're feeling that way, that is a hightail sign that it's just like you need to pull it back. This is probably a day better, more so suited for maybe some NSAIDs, an ice bath, right? Making sure you're extremely well hydrated, taking some anti-inflammatory foods, right? Like doing like a Mediterranean diet that day, really hone in on that anti-inflammatory effect. And then you could do some walking, some light walking. Movement is recovery for sure. You can still move, but like if it's scheduled to do, like 50 kettlebell swings and 10 burpees and like things like that, and your body is extremely inflamed, that's not going to help you. I'm sorry. But there are plenty of days where I'll come back and I'm like, oh, I'm a little tired today, and like today is supposed to be like one of those like quick little circuits, like, but I don't feel like I'm going to do it. I don't care like if I don't feel like doing it, but if my body is hurting, I'm in pain, like getting down the stairs and doing day-to-day activities, something else needs to happen. Otherwise, I'm just going to get an injury.
So would you say if you wake up and your joints feel it, or you feel like you just got ran over by a truck, off.
Yeah.
If you wake up and you feel tired or
unmotivated,
or you just muscle soreness.
Yeah.
Just pure muscle soreness.
Yeah.
Like the
Correct.
triceps are sore.
Correct.
Then do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, to me, like joint, it's like if when you're starting to feel it in your tendons and your joints, they need a minute. They need a minute. We're pushing some crazy weight. We're doing some crazy activities. They need a minute. And you may even need to like go back and like look at that day. Did you do too much? Like overhead motions? Like why exactly are your triceps right? Did you just have a max bench day? Cool. Like maybe that's just it. But maybe you just went a little bit too crazy on the accessories. Like maybe something kept, if you're doing a shit ton of overhead stuff, your elbows are going to kill you. You could do some stand.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do overhead, right? Like we can, sometimes if I feel wrecked and I don't feel like I'm put in the work enough to be as wrecked as I am, if that makes sense. Like I sometimes go back and I'm like, what did I do that day? Like, why am I so wrecked? Did I do something that just didn't suit me? So I look at that a lot, especially too, like, if you're a physically active person in your job, you have to think about how that carries over too. Like if you're an arborist or if you're a construction worker versus if you're just typing on your job, you know what I mean? Like some of these people have physical active jobs and then they come in and they also train. So sometimes if you just worked a 10-hour day the day before and you were physically active, you may want to rein in on a few things because your joints are going to feel it. So just based off of that too.
Hey guys, I just wanted to take a moment because we do read the comments, and one of them that keeps popping up more frequently than not is, I can't believe this video doesn't get more views. Take a minute to subscribe, leave a comment, and share. It really does help.
When I like talk with my athletes that come in, I want to know about everything. I want to know, what are you doing to your day-to-day activity at home? What are you doing at work? What does your physicality look like, not just in the gym, but in your day-to-day life? If somebody is constantly doing something with their wrist, like that's gonna carry over eventually. So we have to like kind of modify your workouts to make sure that that's not going to be an over usage.
So for you to do what you did in the sport, you have to master what I call this auto-regulation thing, right? Mm-hmm. And what you're doing now is you're trying to help these athletes do the same, which I don't believe anybody would disagree with. If you want to be the best that you can be as a strength athlete, you have to master that. The dicey part becomes, how do you teach somebody that without them having to go through all the grind that others have had to go through? So when you're having these conversations, that's a good thing. You noted what you were asking, but what are you looking for in them while they're on the floor, while they're training, as they walk in the door, non-verbally and as far as how they move?
Yeah. One of the first things I notice, like right now, so when I work with my athletes, I actually never really see them train. I could follow them on their social media and watch them train, but a lot of them are just coming to me in my office. We're sitting down and I'm getting just verbal cues from them. So you're right. So I don't get that like visual representation, but I can say that when I'm in a gym and I see people come in, I watch. I want to see like, what did you do right when you walked in? Are you like zoning in, like making sure like I'm going to get my bands ready, I'm going to get this ready. Like I want to see some mobility work. I want to see that you're actually like warming up. There's so many guys in my gym, and I talk shit all the time. Like they just kind of jump on in. I just can't. Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. I just don't understand. I would die. I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do. So I like to watch what people do when they first enter a gym. I think that's a huge either green flag or red flag to me, as like, how serious of an athlete are you? Right? Like if you're coming in and you're getting your stuff ready and you're like getting honed in, like you could talk and say hello and stuff like that, but like you're already hitting the floor, you're doing your warm-ups. I want to talk to you, like, because I bet you I can make you even better. You know what I mean? But the people who come to me and there's like, oh, like, yeah, I jump in, like, yeah, I just like kind of put my shoes on, I'll get under the bar. I'm like, oh, we have so much to do here. Almost a lost cause at that point, but we can sit and we could talk about it. But I usually can gauge off of how serious the person is. Sometimes when people come in with no notebooks, or like somebody comes in with a pen and a paper, I'm like, like, I'm going to talk to you a lot in detail because I know that you're paying attention and I know that you want to learn. There are some people that come in that are just looking for results. And it's usually pretty easy for me to tell just when somebody comes in based off of their demeanor, their posture, what they're wearing, how their body looks, how serious of a person they are about making themselves the best that they can be. And I usually can gauge my how I speak based off of their presentation and how serious they seem to be. And then when they start telling me like, oh, I go on like 3 walks a week, I'll like do this and that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go down a completely different route than the person that says I do jiu-jitsu 3 times a week, I run 4 miles a week, I also do weight training 3 times a week, I supplement with this, that, this, or the other. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Like let's get in on this. So it's pretty easy to gauge who's serious and who's not. Some people just have a lot of money to spend and they don't care about spending it and they just want the results. But I would rather work with somebody who's counting pennies and can barely, get by, but who has like the grit in them. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. What outside of creatine, what are the other supplements that you've seen with your athletes that have made a difference?
Yeah, creatine is huge. Creatine, L-glutamine. I really like turmeric. For like anti-inflammatory effects. That's been a really nice one. Fish oil in general is amazing, but like 2 to 3 grams. A lot of people just aren't eating enough fish oil at all. They're like, oh yeah, I'll have one. And it's usually like 1,200, 2 to 3 grams. I'm telling you, your lipid panels, your joints, your inflammatory process, so many benefits to fish oil. And then for men particularly, I really like magnesium, gluconate, or glycinate, boron. Those are really good for your prostate, really can help increase your natural testosterone levels. So I really like those for the men too. And sometimes for the female athletes too, if I feel like they're not getting enough of their natural testosterone.
I literally just started like all of those. And just listening.
Good man. Good. Make sure you're having 2 to 3 grams.
Yeah.
And keep the fish oil in the refrigerator.
Yes, you could freeze it. That way it doesn't give you those burpy. Yeah.
I didn't know you're supposed to refrigerate.
Well, you can freeze them. You don't have to. You can freeze them or put them in the refrigerator. Because a lot of people don't like them because they get like regurgitation and they burp up a little fish oil stuff, and that stops it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes out of sight, out of mind. So I feel like you're the type of person that forgets, then just keep it out.
Yeah, well, they'll go rancid if it's too long.
Too long if they're not taking
how
them.
How long it's been sitting on the shelf.
Yeah. Oh, that's true too.
So it's if you buy in bulk, freeze.
Yeah.
And then keep the other one in the fridge, or like you said, if you're not. If you can't remember, right by the toothbrush.
Exactly. Those are my biggest ones, and then at that point, the rest is more honed in on their blood work and what exactly are they needing. A B12, everybody should be taking a B12, and especially if you're in the East Coast of vitamin D. Are you kidding me? Or the Northeast?
Yes.
You should definitely be taking a vitamin D. Honestly, almost every single patient that comes to me is vitamin D deficient. Almost every single patient, like I would say 90.
How often do you see DHEA being deficient?
Deficient, low is one thing. Deficient, not as common as you think, but low optimization wise, quite often, men and women, DHEA. But I wouldn't just say like, go ahead and start taking it. I want to see your levels. But I wouldn't just say blanket statement like you should take DHEA. Not everybody needs it. Someone might just be a little bit overkill. But it's definitely something that's on the table, but I want to see blood work first.
Okay. So how do you navigate, because the whole peptide thing is it's a trending thing right now, right?
Yeah.
So you're coming at it from a little bit different perspective because of your background.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the amount of information that's just, and I know you're seeing it, right? Because you're going to see the younger athletes coming in. Easter was just last weekend. So I was just asked, you know, from high school kids, like, and being told that they're taking Retta and shit like this because they're wrestling. And it's like, what the fuck? So how do you navigate the broad space?
Yeah. You know, we don't do anyone 18 under, so we only do adults. But, you know, it upsets me when I hear kids are kind of like getting into it and stuff, you know, especially if they're going the black market route. It's just like, you're playing with fire there. But you know, I love Retta. I really do, for the right population, for the right people, and under correct circumstances, for sure. I think it could do amazing things. It's not fully done on the clinical phase 3 trial right now, but so far so good. But for kids, like, you guys have amazing metabolism, man. Like, there's no reason why you need this. If you're having like issues losing weight and stuff like that, you should go to an endocrinologist and really get that looked at. Like, you should like see if something's actually wrong with you. But Retta, that'd be insane for a 16-year-old, unless he's like severely morbidly obese since he was 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's special cases, I'm sure. But so what I normally do is, you know, a lot of these peptides that we use, some of them are FDA approved for specific uses, but just not the uses that we're utilizing them for. Like, for instance, tesamorelin, it's FDA approved for lipodystrophy in HIV patients, which is just this abnormal collection of adipose tissue in their abdominal cavity where that HIV patients tend to get. And tesamorelin has been proven to help reduce that, which is why people have been using it off-brand to help with visceral fat reduction. Sermorelin was actually FDA approved to treat dwarfism in children, and it was working with them because it was helping them increase their growth hormone as a child, so it was helping them grow a little bit more. And now people are using it for really good sleep benefits, for a natural little growth hormone boost. So, you know, a lot of these do have pretty good studies on them, and then a lot of them just don't. So, like, for instance, like BPC 157, that's a really common one that people are utilizing. I love it. I can't speak any highly of it. But of course, like, getting it from a good source, or making sure that it's not an inaccurate source is going to be the biggest problem. But if you get it from a real source and it really is BPC 157, it's a great healing peptide. And I highly recommend it for training athletes. So usually whoever I come into tune with, I hear them out. What exactly are they complaining the most about? Is it sleep? I'm probably grabbing sermorelin or CJC 1295 ipamorelin. If they're complaining of recovery, I am grabbing BPC 157, TB 500, and possibly GHK-CU and KPV.
All right. So if it's a recovery with the BPC 157, et cetera, and this is where we run into some of the predicaments that we do with the strength athletes, / demographic, that the people have no problem taking, you know, anabolics that are made in sinks and shit. So,
correct.
You know, sourcing and all this other stuff really doesn't matter to them. Don't. They're just going to take it.
And it's cheaper too.
Yes. If they're not recovering, then they're going to take it, and they're going to take it for the whole meat prep.
Yeah.
Right. And I would wonder, like, why don't you just look at the training to see why you're not fucking recovering in the first? Now, if you fuck up, right, and you hit this overreach state, which isn't part of your peaking, which you should do before you deload, you know, but let's say it happens 8 weeks out, then that would seem like a good use case for this to go in for that block to be able to kind of catch you back where it should be, and then back the fuck off. And then, is that how you see it being? Well, you're working with people, so that's how you would probably have it be used.
It as.
But is that how you see it being used?
No, I see it being used at very high doses, and sometimes they'll just do an extremely high dose, inject it like right at their area of injury, and then they won't do another dose for like, I don't know, like a month or something. Like, oh yeah, I've used it. It's expired, sir. Okay, like if you haven't used it in like 2 months, it's expired, and now you're just using a very large amount, which has very little research done, if not any. Actually, the lethal dose of BPC 157 has been been, the LD50 is 2 grams. A lot of people are using like 2 grams every like once in a while and just doing like an injection of it. It's insane. It makes no sense. The research is super strong on just 250 or 500 micrograms. A, that vial is going to last you longer. And B, you can get multiple injections of it. And now it actually does what it's supposed to do. You think that injecting, it's not like a medication of like an NSAID where you inject and you get that benefits in the next 30 minutes, right? BPC 157, the mechanism of action is like growing blood vessels, sending fibroblasts to the area. This is like time that needs to happen over a long period of time. You're not just going to get brand new blood vessels overnight. Like that's just not how it's going to happen. You need like a small dose every single day so it can actually grow these new blood vessels in that area to increase your nutritional support. But so, yeah, I see it used incorrectly often. And it's scary, but of course, like everything that the black market that they do is scary. Like the trend amount is crazy too. Like and a little unnecessary at some points. Sometimes it's necessary depending on what you're going for. But the BPC 157, I would say that what I would say is it should be cycled. Just like most peptides or anabolics should be cycled. But when you're cycling it, you could be on it for about 3 to 4 months before you cycle. That's perfectly fine, but you should cycle off at that point. But that's on a small dose that you should be injecting daily. You can inject it subcutaneously near the area of injury. That's perfectly fine. That's what you're supposed to do. And that's usually anecdotally the people that get the best benefits from it. I utilized it a little bit for that forearm pain that I was experiencing. And during that time, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to like actually start kicking in, like I said, because it's taking time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I saw an insane amount of vasculature on my right arm, way more than I had on my left arm, especially during workouts. I really started to notice my vasculature was changing. And that, again, it's supposed to work systemically. So whether or not you inject it in the area of injury or just in your belly, it's supposed to work throughout your body. But I would say it by far grew more blood vessels in the area that it was injecting, for sure, which is exactly the goal of it. So, I would give someone, sometimes people come to me as just an athlete and they're looking for that general recovery. Like they're about to push themselves really, really hard. They want an extra boost. Some people come to me with an active injury and they just want to heal the injury. So those are going to be 2 different types of treatments, right? Like one, I'm just trying to heal this one thing. As soon as we're good, we can stop. This other one, he's going to be training for about 4 to 5 months. How can I cycle him appropriately during his peaks, like you're talking about, to make sure he can still push himself?
What are some of the other reasons these athletes are coming to you in the clinic?
For not just for healing purposes, for sleep benefits as well. They feel like they're just not getting enough sleep. They'll be looking at for a body composition change. Sometimes they're like, I'm putting in the effort. Like I'm 42 years old now. The stuff that was working for me when I was in my upper 20s, lower 30s just isn't working anymore. And I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. So a lot of times they're just looking for a body composition boost. Like tesamorelin, that'll be like the growth hormone releasing peptides like CJC, ipamorelin, tesamorelin. Sermorelin is a more gentle approach, but can do it as well. So body composition is a huge one. Sometimes people are looking for like cognitive improvements and even just energy levels like NAD+. That's like a really good one for cognitive improvement. Some people will just use it actually for just game day. They feel as if their performance is better. They can think quicker on their feet. A lot of football athletes like to use that. Yeah, so those are the biggest ones. Body composition's huge right now. So
how do you, outside of the GLP-1s, how much benefit are they going to have on the appetite control? I mean, because you still have to have the conversation on what they're putting in their mouth.
Yeah, correct. The appetite control, honestly, the growth hormone releasing one, CJC 1295 ipamorelin shouldn't make you much more hungry. It shouldn't affect your appetite at all. Tesamorelin can make you a little bit hungry. So, I'm very matter of fact with my patients, especially if they're athletes. I'm not like going to be babying them in the least bit. If you're coming to me and you're going to be purchasing an expensive peptide and you're going to be injecting 5 nights out of the week or daily or something like that, you better be putting in the work, because otherwise this is a waste of our time. This is just another supplement that can bring you from being really good to great. If you're not really good already, then there's not much it's going to do for you. You can't be taking tesamorelin, CJC 1295, ipamorelin. These are just little supplements that are going to help you kind of boost yourself. But if you are doing the right things, you will see a difference. You will definitely see a difference.
So if we take two populations, one that comes in for those things, but all those right things are not dialed in, right? And then you give them those things and they do dial in all those things, you're going to see an increase,
Yeah.
right? Then on the other side, the ones that are already doing all the right things and you put it in, you're going to see an increase. So
Yes.
the question I have is how, if all those right things are, you're going to see a bigger increase on the ones that aren't doing the right things.
Yeah.
Because I could make the argument that all these medications are doing is making them compliant to the right things they should have been doing in the first place, right? And so I expect to see something there, right? You know, placebo stacked upon just good habits. Now over here, when it's already all good, and then they add those in, how much of a difference are we actually really seeing?
Honestly, you really could see a pretty significant one, especially with the more aggressive ones like tesamorelin, ipamorelin, CJC, and ipamorelin. They will get you there. Simorelin, maybe not. You might get a little bit better sleep, but for those like really like top end athletes, it's probably just not going to give you enough of that boost.
Compared to growth hormone?
Well, growth hormone, so that's taking like exogenous growth hormone, something that's outside of your body, and putting it in. Tesamorelin, ipamorelin, CJC, all of these are increasing your endogenous growth hormone, which is already released inside of you. It's just enhancing it. So it's a little bit different there. If you're taking growth hormone, you're going to be suppressing your natural growth hormone production. So actually, it's just going to hinder you long term. Sorry, I'm beginning to die over here. So you will actually see those top end athletes, like those bodybuilders, they really will see a difference. I mean, again, they only have so much more to lose, right? So that distance is going to be smaller, but it can make them like a 10% better, which is really significant for a top level athlete.
Well, that's the harder thing. That's the, when you're dealing with somebody that, and I hate to use the word genetic cap, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of real. I mean, when you're dealing with somebody that's at that genetic, if we take a power lifter that's basically as strong as they're going to get, right? Which I don't know if I necessarily agree with, but I do, right? So they're as strong as they're going to get. The only way they're actually going to get better is to go in healthier and to lift the weights that they haven't been able to put together in a meet before. Right. So you probably never had your best meet where everything was a PR across the board, which fucks with your head, right? Because you always think, and that's what keeps people in longer and longer and longer. If I don't have to get stronger, I just have to put my best together and go in healthier each time. Right. So that is a harder demographic to get progress out of because they're kind of already at their cap. Right. So you got to go about getting the best performance in different ways. Having them come in healthier, you know, having them not being as two things, being just generally healthier and not being as fucked up. I mean, how many times have you seen a lifter that's going to be in the top 100 on open powerlifting go into a meet that's not fucked up somehow?
Never.
So that's my point where if all these things that we talked about recovery wise from sleep to all these other things helps them go in being 50% less fucked up, their ability to display their strength, I guess is what we're talking about. To display what their actual strength is going to increase significantly. And if those play into that, then
they do. You know,
that's
because if they're gonna if it's gonna help you sleep better, that's gonna help you recover better, right? If you're sleeping more, then your growth hormone is gonna be released more. That's gonna be more muscle mass growth, more subcutaneous fat loss. You know, depending on what your goal is. Is your goal strength? Is your goal weight loss? Whatever your goal is, but they will help. They will help. I really, really, really do like it for my athletes.
And that will end up playing into less bicep tendonitis as the meet gets closer. Less, your shoulder feels a little jacked up, your knee feels a little jacked up. That's fine. It always does 6 weeks out, right? You know,
that's
right?
normal.
You get what I'm saying? Where if the goal could be, let's have that only get jacked up 3 weeks out. And then next time, not at all. Right? I don't think it's going to do anything from the acute injury standpoint. You know, because normally that you shift so far, especially in multiply, you shift so far out of the groove for whatever reason, you're just fucked. You know, you're back, you fall forward, you're just fucked. So let's kind of go back to the multiply thing because it's in a weird place. And now you're kind of out looking in. So you're going to get a different perspective on what this all looks like as years kind of go by. And I don't think it's broken, right? I don't want to say that, but it hasn't grown.
Yeah, not at all.
It certainly
Not at
hasn't
all.
grown. And I looked before this conversation to see if it has reduced, and it doesn't look like it's reduced. If I mean, so far the first quarter of this year is trending lower than last year, but it's dicey because when you look at multiply, the number is like 1,000. It's always 1,000, but if you look at unlimited, it's like 40,000.
Yeah.
But you're pulling in all the high school bench, all the high school powerlifters in Texas that are using slingshots and shit like that.
Correct.
So it's really dicey to be able to figure that number out. Whereas I've heard every different path, to try to get this to grow. Right. And I don't think it's any less popular than when it was when I competed. It just hasn't grown. And every strategy that I've seen and every idea that I've seen presented just sucks.
Yeah.
And it's all been tried before and it doesn't work. The biggest criticisms that come towards it are the judging would be one, and that's definitely one that kind of clicks up there. But those that aren't in that sport that would be attracted to the sport don't know that. So I don't know how far I can believe that.
I agree. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Totally.
that's only going to be impacted by the people who are already in that would want to move over.
Yes.
Which is a demographic that falls in there. The federation debates is another one, but there's always been those type of issues that fall into there. The only one that I can really settle on would be cost of entry.
Yeah.
It costs way more, just to buy all the gear to be able to do your first meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a hindrance, and there's less clubs like yours
Yep.
than there ever have been.
Yep.
Which means secondhand.
Exactly. I was going to say,
pastime.
I didn't buy a piece of equipment until, honestly, except for that shirt. I think honestly that might have been the only time I bought it, which is probably why it hurt so bad when it broke. But I had hand-me-downs the whole time.
Yes, and one of the things I've seen over the past 5 years is you can find used stuff, but you're going to pay for it.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
These
that
ones were
wasn't-
given. Yeah. No, these are, I wore all of his stuff
Yeah.
all the time. But that's something that I want to make sure, I have all of my stuff in my garage. I am not selling. I'm going to give it away to people who come to my gym who are hopefully around the same size that can fit in. And then we actually have one of our girls, she can she does a lot of the sewing. So she's able to take things in, take things out. So we can do it in-house too, which is awesome. That's the goal, is to kind of keep that alive, which is something that Mike, giving me over to Hellbent was something that he wanted to make sure that was maintained, right? Like that whole, this is a family, we just give you things. We want to help you come in and make you better, right? This isn't this is mine, nothing, no. We've all worn all of each other's briefs, So it's definitely something that you're right, I think it's a huge reason why people don't want to go into multiply, especially because when you first buy things, right? That first suit, you don't know what size you're going to be. You can try someone's on, probably think that you're going to be a size up. It comes back, it's been manufactured differently. Now it's too tight here, too tight there. Now what? You know what I mean? I got to break it in. I got to lose weight, gain weight. So it's not easy. But I definitely think that that's something that if it's available to you, I think it'd be a lot easier for people to jump in. In fact, I think it was probably why I jumped in so quickly, because it was just so easily accessible to me. It was just there. People were just like, hey, have some fun today, get in a bench shirt. And I'm like, I don't know, I've never done that. It's super foreign, but if it's there and you fit in it, cool, let's try it out. And then you get bit, right? And then you want more and more and more. But that's something that I definitely want to maintain. And I think a lot of the members in my gym feel the same way. A lot of us just have our gear lying around. And if somebody forgot their stuff, oh, just put mine on. Even shoes. Right now, I think I'm wearing Jenna's shoes right now. So, we just kind of, we double dip a lot.
What do you think the sport as a whole could do to be able to attract more people in?
Like you said, right? When it comes to the judging and hitting depth and things like that, that's a lot of the internal things. People who are already in this sport, I totally agree with you. When I talk to just average Joe people and I mention multiply, not a person in the world knows what that is. Seriously. Unless you are a power lifter, you don't know what multiply is. Even bodybuilders. I've spoken to a lot of bodybuilders. They're like, oh, I don't know, what is that? And a lot of these athletes that I talk to on a day-to-day basis, they don't know what multiply is. So I don't know if it needs more of a like West Side versus the World, like, they actually had a actual, like, a documentary and people can watch it. I don't know if it just needs more outspoken podcasts that talk about it, or documentaries or something like that to be released, but I think it just needs to be shown more. And we have YouTube, social media. There's no reason why it shouldn't be broadcasted everywhere. Like, I was put on NBC for the world record for the bench, and I remember, like, the initial interview that I had to just describe to them what that was, because they had no idea. And I still don't even think that it was fully depicted well enough inside of the actual program. They kind of just talked about the numbers and things like that. But I just think that the discussion of multiply and, like, the examples that need to be set should just be a little bit more vocalized. I think I want to try to make, Hellbent Barbell a little bit more, like, active socially. Like, I want to put our lifts online a little bit more, put it on YouTube, and actually try to, like, show people, like, this is what multiply does, this is how it is. I want to, like, show it more and talk about it more. I think that's probably one of the most underused, like, tool that we have, is we have access to everybody. We just need to, like, actually talk about it. Nobody knows. It's really it's as easy as that. It's like word of mouth. You know what I mean? That's my own personal opinion.
Well, if we fall back just on the basic referrals, like if you need members for the gym, the best members are going to come from the members.
Yes.
And if there's, 1,000 active competitors in each one, and no, just half of them bring one more in.
Yeah. Right there.
That's a 50% increase.
I mean, it's insane. Yeah, totally. Yes. Absolutely.
But that doesn't happen.
No.
Right. So that's where it's weird. I spoke with, I think it comes out, this is weird because it'll come out after the one. So Merck, about, this whole conversation, like how to go different ways about doing this. Because, one of the things is we need to create more drama and more characters. I'm like, that don't work. I don't think so. It's already there.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you don't have to create it. It's not fucking wrestling, and the other one is, it's super boring. I'm like, well, so is fucking golf, and people sit there and watch that. And
exactly.
It's like all the reasons are shitty excuses.
Great.
To where it's just, it seems obvious to me that people need to just showcase their personalities and provide something of moral character for somebody you want to aspire to be like.
Yes.
Right. And does it play into that? You said it earlier, imposter syndrome, which I don't even believe is a thing. Because everybody has it.
Yeah.
For everything. Like, in college, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just because you start something new and you start to do kind of a little bit good at it, you feel this certain way, which is the same fucking way you probably felt when you learned how to walk, but you didn't know.
Yeah, this is weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now we're going to fucking label this type of thing. It's not a reason to not be able to be a good person and to be able to put stuff out to try to help people.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of where it boils down to, is if they feel like they're a shitty person, then they're going to make shitty content. They're going to put shitty comments, and they're not even going to, they're going to create an alias account to create shitty content and shitty comments instead of just doing the thing. That proves my point. I'm kind of talking my way through this whole thing. It proves my point entirely because they won't do it under their own profile. Under their own profile, they're always going to be a good person, except for a small minority but they don't amplify.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't amplify because those that like that message won't like or comment or whatever the fuck they're supposed to do to be able to help the algorithm with that whole thing. So I don't know. It's just, it's been an ongoing thing since I got in this sport.
No, definitely. It's something that I would like to help with. I definitely want to gain, shed light on multiply. I love it, man. It is sick. I just think that people just don't know it exists. And they also don't know, like recently I posted a video and it went like stupidly viral for just absolutely no reason. I've done way more impressive things than what I did on that. But for some reason, this one that spread. And a lot of the comments were mostly just 50-50. Some were negative, negative, some were positive. But the negative ones were hyper focused on just complete lack of knowledge of what everything was going on. Why are you wearing that? Why is there bands on that? Why are this like just all these questions of like, why are you wearing knee wraps? I'm like, what do you mean? I have 700 pounds. Why the fuck wouldn't I wear knee wraps on 700 pounds? But just questions like that I'm like, oh, it's a complete just lack of knowledge. That's like the real issue here. It's lack of exposure. You know what I mean? It's not like these people are probably just pretty like normal human beings that go to the gym and squat and they're just like, this looks like a circus. Yeah, I'm sure it does to you, but let me explain. And I think that needs to happen first, because I think that sometimes people look at us and they're like, this is outlandish. The hell are you guys doing? You're doing it for clout. You know what I mean? But the whole point of powerlifting is lifting as much weight as possible, period. Like that is the point. So yes, of course, this is how much can I lift? What else can I put on so I can lift more? Like that is the goal. So it's just, I think that it needs to be kind of spoken about, and there's only been like one, maybe two documentaries on it. And I think it just needs to be better. So it's definitely something that I would love to do. And I think it'd be so cool to get like a lot of the top name people kind of involved in something like that, before everybody's just like out, you know? Because I feel like that time frame is coming. Like a lot of like the really well-known ones, they're slowly getting out and out of the sport. The ones who are active are about to kind of creep up into that position. And what are we left with really at the bottom down here? I don't see much.
Yeah.
So it's scary.
Any other topics you wanted to go over I didn't bring up?
Oh, that was quite a bit, I think. No, that was pretty good. Yeah. I really wanted to kind of like dive into like the whole visionary and like mentality and balancing. And that's actually what you jumped into first. So that was great. That's exactly kind of what I wanted to talk about, because that was the hardest part of life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's going to continue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just, hopefully there's less buckets that you can be able to, you know, and then you learn how to stack the buckets.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Where when they're all separate and they're building, it's called youth.
Yeah.
Right. It's called learning.
Yeah.
Right. And then at some point you learn how to stack, and then the buckets build upon the buckets. And it kind of goes from there, but it never stops.
Yeah.
I think that's what some people just don't get.
Yeah.
Like the way I explain it, life is really fucking hard with spots of really cool shit.
Yes.
Right? Where if you get under the false impression that life should be a whole bunch of really cool shit with hard spots, you're missing it all.
Yeah. But also too, the things that were the hardest led to the best moments. I mean, just those 30 seconds that you just worked like the past 10 years for, man, those 30 seconds feel better than anything in the world. I honestly, there's nothing that feels better than like when I passed my boards, when I hit the world record, when I hit the number that I wanted to hit. Like there's nothing that touches those feelings. I don't care if it was just 10 seconds, it was worth it all. So I couldn't agree more with that.
So what becomes the next 30 seconds?
What's my next 30 seconds? Okay, so my next 30 seconds is hopefully like marriage and children. I think like that'd be a really cool 30 seconds. That would be kind of cool. I think like I'm ready for like that, like the whole like shift into like adulthood and like starting my own family. And if that doesn't happen, then like I'm just gonna use my family at Hellbent Barbell, and hopefully I can get some young kids and kind of I really want to mentor people really badly. I'm super passionate. I'm patient. I want to help people. And I always see the good, and I want to cultivate that.
Any final thoughts?
Thank you for letting me come on here. This was a huge deal. Full circle moment on many aspects of my life is kind of happening to me currently. And this is just a really big deal to be able to kind of be heard. So I appreciate you letting me come on here.
What's the best way people can follow you?
Probably my Instagram. It's public. I don't have to accept anything. GI_Joe_Barbie. GI_Joe Barbie.
We'll have the link in the description.
You'll find me, guys.
Right, well, thank you for coming out. This has been
you.
great, and we're done.
Appreciate it.